Hello and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast covering my all-time favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander.
And I'm your co-host, Courtney Autumn.
Together, we've been journeying through Buffy the Vampire Slayer, patrolling the streets of Sunnydale, but now our path expands beyond the Hellmouth as we continue to follow Buffy's battles and growth.
We also step into the shadowy streets of Los Angeles to join Angel on his quest for redemption and his fight to discover what it truly means to be a champion.
Venture with us through every episode in order as we experience the story from two perspectives, Courtney's first-time watch and my seasoned rewatch, doubling down on the themes and moments that shape the Buffyverse.
We'll examine pivotal choices, major story arcs, and explore the deeper layers of each show's continued character growth and development.
All while engaging in conversations and sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, ready your swords,
and continue to stand with us against the forces of darkness as we journey through the supernatural worlds of Buffy the Vampire Slayer
and Angel.
Let's get into this episode. Yes, the next title, episode 8. Now me starting recording there is going to have people think I'm coming in at the end of the final Slayer predictions. But not, because today we are back, and welcome back to another episode of Revamped. Today we are going to be covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 4, Episode 7.
The Initiative.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Is it your? I thought it was
like
mine.
It's like birds instead of crickets. Oh, maybe,
well, the
maybe
bird
it's
said,
both.
The Initiative. They said, which, see? They said it again. This episode aired November 16th, 1999, written by Douglas Petrie and directed by James A. Courtney. I love when we have Petrie dish on the I always think that, literally, I'm gonna say it every single time I ever see Douglas's name. So in this episode, this lovely, brilliant episode 7, when Spike escapes from a secret government facility after being implanted with a device that prevents him from haunting, who's a ghost now, from harming humans, Buffy and her friends must deal with this unexpected turn. Meanwhile, Riley's connection to a hidden military operation is revealed, hinting at a larger threat operating beneath Sunnydale. What is happening? What's going on? What's going on first is guest stars. We have two. I'm going to introduce this time. I'm not going to talk about their credits or history. I'm going to look that shit up yourselves. But Bailey Chase is being introduced as Graham, and Leonard Roberts is Forrest. We are going to see these characters a little bit more moving forward. And they are obviously Riley's kind of like not only two best friends, but they're two like second up and third up to him, I guess I would say. Because all the other people, they're just kind of like nameless commando dudes that get ordered around and shit or told to shut up by Maggie, you know. Yeah, so here we are, the Initiative. I'm gonna go with my stuff that I wrote down first, just because I feel like it'll segue into like the things that I want to ask you. I feel like I have a good bit of questions for you this episode, just because we're unfolding and unveiling, revealing all sorts of things. I don't think I've ever given this episode the attention that it deserves, to say that first. I have always enjoyed it. It's a good episode, but I've always, especially nowadays, because I don't want to say always, for the past few years, listening to other podcasts and knowing that like episode 7s have become this big thing, like a phenomenon happens within it. We close off the last part of the season and kind of like get usually revealed or like told in some way what's going to happen the rest of the season or what the core themes or things like that might be. But for this one, I think now revisiting it, like it hits a little bit more harder structurally, because when you look back and compare it to other episodes like Lie to Me or Revelations from last season, or even like Angel back in season 1 before we knew episode 7s were a thing, they all reveal something or something big happens and moves the plot forward. But especially with season 2 and 3, this one like does the same thing and sits within that space. But it's one of those episodes where the show kind of gears up and drops a bunch more information all at once, because, you know, like if you think about it in the term of reveals, like we're not just getting one twist, or like, you know, Gwendolyn Post last season and then Faith kind of being pitted against the Scoobies and stuff as like our little whatnots. We're getting like a whole system introduced in this episode. Like we found out Riley's in this operation, Professor Walsh is a major role in it, and these are like people that we just think are here in the college life atmosphere, but they actually are getting like brought into the story as bigger picture type stuff. And the initiative itself is bigger than anything we've seen so far, I feel like, on the show, because this is like something that's been going on behind the scenes. Like what else would you expect from the government, truly, to be like they already know about this, and we've been questioning this in a way now that I'm thinking about it in this way. Like back when we were talking about the mayor, what was he going to do, gobble up the city? Like why are the government people trying to take him down and do all, like where was the initiative whenever the mayor was doing his stuff? Like
when
yeah, you know what I mean? And I have questions about that later, but
yeah,
what makes I feel like it works so well here is that us as the audience receive most of this information. The Scoobies and stuff are getting little bits, especially about the Spike whatnots, in a certain way. Well, more so like I guess the commandos and stuff like that. They're getting confirmation on it, but obviously we know that will come. But like none of the characters are getting information. Like Buffy and Riley, they don't know who each other really are. And they're kind of initiating into this space, especially on Riley's side, where he's trying to actively go after this girl now. So it puts an interesting little plot point for them to navigate forward, like what's going to happen there type thing. And then like on top of all that, Spike, we've seen him intertwined within the show, like from season 2, and then he had a little bit of a break. He came back once in season 3, and then we didn't see him again the whole season. And then now it seems like he's come up a lot more, because we've seen him a few different times now on Buffy and once over on Angel. For him to be used as this tool for the way that the whole thing gets revealed to us, like him getting captured, him being the one to get experimented on and altered, which you totally called, by the way, because you were like, well, maybe they're doing like experiments on these things or whatever, you know what I mean? All that's kind of revealed to you. But it's like a wild turn for his character to have caught by these people. He's lived, you know, as he says this episode, 126 years. And all this time he's just been living out, like doing the things. I mean, obviously he's had his little encounters with Buffy and usually kind of got kicked back then, but this is like, I don't know, this puts him, like I said, kind of in an altered state, because now like he does make it out of this situation because he's Spike, you know what I mean? He usually kind of gets by the grit of his teeth type thing. Yeah. And this time he's not like necessarily unchanged by it because of the reveal we get at the end with like the chip that they say that they've implanted in his head where he can't harm humans anymore. That's big. That takes a character and kind of diminishes him, basically defangs him in a certain way, neutralizes him, which is kind of cool. I feel like this is one of the strongest episode 7s I've witnessed so far out of all of those that we've come to, just because so much big stuff is being placed in front of us. And now we're kind of left being like, well, what the fuck's going to happen as the rest of the season progresses? Even me, like watching it, knowing what all happens, I'm like living through you. So I'm like, what the fuck, you know? We watched it yesterday together online, and I told you to kind of save everything so that way we could speak on it for like the recording. What are your thoughts on the initiative? And then I'll roll into maybe a couple little questions if you don't technically answer them already naturally.
Well, obviously I was anticipating something big because we're at episode 7 and I've just gotten used to this pattern by now. So at least I knew to prepare for something. I did not expect any of what happened. I mean, to an extent, like you said, there were parts like the experiments on, you know, or the potential experimenting on vampires and those kinds of things that I lightly touched base on. I think that was literally the only part of the episode I saw coming. The Parker bits were great.
The only time you could ever use that in a sentence.
There was so literally. And then, oh my God, I didn't expect to be so conflicted about Riley at the end of everything, because you're just like, wait, hold on.
That leads me into my first question, sort of. So I'm going to pause you kind of mid-thought. Back in the freshman, I asked you what your initial thoughts were, Riley, on meeting him. And you didn't have much to go off of, you know? But what would you say you think of him kind of now?
This episode was the first episode where I really started to gravitate toward his character, like the whole first half, because like he's being really funny and simultaneously kind of like sweet and shy and like all the good qualities that a person can have. So he just feels so like well-rounded and like humble and down to earth and all those things. And then when you're revealed what's actually going on with everything and that he's kind of he is a part of that, you're you feel like you're watching someone live a double life, because he is in technical terms, but the fact that he's also like, he comes off as two totally different people depending on which life he's living it obviously makes me question the trust factor we can get to with him as a character, just because obviously anyone who has the ability to completely change face when it comes to where they're at or their surroundings is kind of like, well, I don't know about this. But in any case, he seems badass.
Sure.
Like,
it's intertwining that like with my initial statement, what you just said, and then saying like, or giving thoughts to like, how do you feel about him being set up as like a potential love interest for Buffy?
I think that's where my untrustworthy like doubt comes in with him. And I think if it wasn't for that layer added in and we just had to experience him as a character without that part of it, or without him being interested in her and this kind of developing as part of the storyline, I think I would feel about him differently, because it wouldn't matter too much to me if we trusted him or not, because then it would just inevitably mean he's more on the outside than on the direct inside of who we're dealing with constantly. But because there's this developing story on their romantic relationship, I guess, or a dynamic there, I don't know how to feel, because I'm like, does he have genuine interest in Buffy, or is this just kind of like to benefit what he's doing behind the scenes with all this other stuff? Does he know that she's the Slayer, and so he's trying to get close to her so he can get more vampires? Like, I don't know. I question his whole motive now, because this other thing is happening and it has direct correlation with her. It's not removed. It has everything to do with her life, So I'm just like, that's too coincidental for me, and I don't believe that much in coincidence. I just believe in like, either it's something is set up or something is not.
Which Doug, the show kind of plays that type of stuff. It's interesting how your gears are kind of turning. Like you really are kind of looking at a bunch of different roads of like what the options could be. Each one has a different one. Going on the assumption that like the road to easy is there, and they familiarize themselves in the best ways and like just become something good. I think that it's interesting to sort of create someone like him as a character on the show to kind of mirror Buffy, her that too, yes. Because he can't just be a regular Joe, because then Buffy can't necessarily be with him the same way, because she might not be able to reveal her identity, or he might like we go back to season 1 and we think about Owen, like she's like, he could get hurt because he's in this danger element, yada yada yada. But like, obviously he, from what you're saying, you're getting these two divisions of him. That's literally my notes right here. He's got this double life, and he's like regular, nice, normal kind of guy in his daily life, but then he's also secret agent dude afterwards, and his flip side of his dynamic of his life. So like, you are kind of left with, is this genuine or is it not? But if it is, I think it's a really nice match for him and Buffy together on that one road of options, because if they were ever to reveal to each other who they are, if that's the aspect of how it goes down, then they might be able to be like, oh, we're a cool power team. Now they could, like you said, possibly know about Buffy and be like, oh, we need to get her under wraps, so that way we can like kind of control or maybe manipulate her in a certain way, as government tends to like to do, or whatever the case may or may not be. Or maybe they're out to get her in a more negative way, maybe because maybe she's an anomaly just like these other creatures. Like,
I look at it almost like using her as bait, but not really bait, because they know that she's not going to get like murdered or anything, or the likelihood isn't there, but more so as like a vampire magnet, because they know that like where she knows where they are. She's going to go doing her like nightly duties, and that's an advantage for them, because clearly they're having trouble just keeping Spike locked up. So I can't imagine how successful they are at like getting all the vampires.
Decently successful. You see how many freaking people are in those damn little like rooms locked up? How many are already?
Well, some of those were
empty, but there's
too.
Also like, those are the ones that were taken down to that big silver box in the fucking initiative that getting chopped up, and like,
you're right,
they got head things on and getting cut into and shit. Like, it's like, what are they doing?
And put in the blender.
Yes, the blender.
Yeah.
Mine.
That's how you made it sound. You're like down there on the table.
That's my smoothie I'm drinking right now. See those little bits? That's the demon. I call it Polgara.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, any guy that comes into Buffy's life, like in general, whether they're her friend, her potential love interest, whatever it is to be questioned just based on experience with dudes on this show, because none of them have been that great. And I'm not going to really throw Angel into that because circumstantially, like, he's just,
Yeah.
he's kind of fucked. So we're not going to hold him accountable. But for everyone else, especially the ones we've just kind of experienced with Buffy, as far as like Parker and stuff like that is concerned, I guess you're just left with a concerning taste in your mouth after that whole experience, especially watching him and the way he talked about her in this episode. You just kind of get even more insight on the fact that he's just a complete fucking douchebag, and he had every right to have what happened to him. But so I don't know, you just concern yourself obviously in general as a viewer for Buffy's well-being, whether it's emotionally, physically, all of the above. And to see any guy express interest in her, I think is still a little bit like, because it's not Angel, but also you don't know really who to trust because none of them have been great. So even if he didn't have this double life, I feel like I would be questioning him, but now I'm definitely questioning him, especially because it's so directly correlated to what her double life is, basically. So I don't know. I feel like it could be, if it was a good, easy path and we saw this going into like a happily, together forever type of situation, then I feel like they would make a great power team and they would have something to relate on because they both have to live a double life. And
or they could kill each other.
I don't know.
You never know.
Buffy will kill him.
Shit. Well, you see the way she attacks his ass later, so just say that out there. Like, I know they're all wearing costuming and stuff like that, but the one she mostly is fighting in the episode is Riley. We'll talk about that.
That's crazy.
Truly, when we get there, which we're going to kind of segue into now, because I feel like that kind of gives everybody a little bit of a taste of what to expect. I have so many notes and things that I guess they kind of when we walk through it. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let me clear my throat. Buffy. All right, yeah, maybe I'll keep that in. We'll see. All right, in the campus cafeteria, we arrive at a table where Riley grades papers, ignoring Forrest's banter, aka his ogling of the women in the room. One particularly hot girl standing out. Courtney's like, when we're watching this, she's like, I don't know, he's staring at some hot girl or whatever, because you were like doing something for like a second or like taking a note, whatever the case. And I was like, no, they're talking about Buffy. Because, we were trying to play the sync up thing with the audio, like so I could hear your stuff, so I could make sure I was like at the same time frame from pushing play together or whatever. And you're like, I don't know, he's talking about some hot girl. I'm like, no, that would be Buffy.
Buffy. I like that. The girl's so hot. She's Buffy. What's her name, Forrest? You've established first contact?
As they're watching her, first she's struggling with her little drink. I thought she was getting like coffee or something. It was the froth overflowing, but no, it's like the soda foam like that comes out whenever it starts to build up too fast. And she's already making a mess. It's whatever. Forrest is surprised that Riley's made first contact with her. Little foreshadow jargon, by the way, that I noticed this time around. Like, whenever military people, government officials, police officers maybe, but definitely like the government side of things, whenever they like have a first, I don't know what other word I want to give it, but they always say I've established contact, or you've had contact with the civilian or with whatever. It's not like, oh, you met them. Like, it's contact. It's a very specific wording. You know what I mean? Jargon. And I, like I said, I kind of noticed that like as a thing from government settings, and I don't know why Riley didn't just say also like, yeah, she's one of Walsh's students. He kind of like ponders it a bit too long and doesn't even really feed him into it. I guess it's just so the rest of this can kind of open up. And I was like, yeah, why don't you look him? Like, he's like, yeah, you established first contact. But like, yeah, but it's not what you think. She's one of my students, like, or one of Walsh's students. Because clearly these guys don't, you know what I mean? He kind of sits on it for a bit. I'm like, that's the easiest way to tell somebody. That's what I was thinking, anyways. It's not important, but it's what I thought. So I guess it is important. He asks what he thinks of her, but Riley doesn't have anything to add except that she just seems kind of,
I don't know, peculiar. Yeah.
a word we will hear 722 more times, at least this episode. And here is where we cut back over to Buffy, and she's having trouble with her damn yogurt. She breaks the fucking handle off. It's a mess because, you know, she's a vampire slayer, but in her normal life, just like Riley, she's got this kind of like quirky, clumsy type personality, and we've seen this always kind of through her. She's like confident, but she like has these little moments where she's got little slip ups and this goofy kind of character, which kind of meets Riley's shy normal life character. Like, he's afraid to go ask a girl out, he's asking Willow for help, and like he can't just directly go up and talk to someone in that kind of realm. But the funniest part of this little bit is she's over there and she like goes to crank the fucking yogurt thing, and she's so strong as a slayer, she breaks the fucking handle off because she turned it, I guess, too fast or something, and now that shit's overflowing, and this bitch just walks the fuck off from it and leaves that guy over there behind her to clean up that fucking mess. I'm like, oh my god. It's just funny to be watching as these people are like talking about her. This guy's calling her hot, yet she's over there doing all this. And I'm like, they're not paying any attention that she's fucking this whole cafeteria up. You know what I mean? So funny. Graham arrives to the table to join the boys, and Graham agrees that Buffy is Buffy. He's like, that girl's so hot, she's Buffy. Forrest continuing to rag on Riley for not liking her, and Riley confirms it's not really that. It's just that she seems aloof, and there's just something off about her. She doesn't seem like she's really there when you talk to her. They bring up her brief moment with Parker, something that promising sounding, as Buffy rushes off with her food, and that guy behind her's doing that shit I was talking about, you know, to clean up her bullshit. And all this for her to trip and dump her entire prepared meal all over the floor in front of everybody in the cafeteria. I'm just like, so now you got to go get back in line, go get another soda. You got to go get soda and yogurt, Buffy. Like, I mean, yogurt's at least a like okay choice, but if it's coming from this like swirl machine, I bet you that's not like smoothie yogurt or something. You get a fresh acai bowl at some fucking juiceria. Like that's processed goop that's possibly got at least one banana, maybe possibly in it. Or not. It's one of those things they make up at use milkshakes at McDonald's. It's not actual like stuff. They just put powder and liquid together, and it turns into like a gelatinous, almost ice cream like thing. I think that's how they do it. I've read some things. Anyways, poor her. Riley narrates finally confirming that he does think she's hot, but would you really want to go out with her?
Hell yes. But a lot of guys would like to get their hands on her.
And then we get a round of cutscene transition magic over to a sterile white-walled cell where Spike lies on the floor, muttering in his sleep about killing the Slayer before suddenly waking up. Disoriented, he starts to take in his surroundings, realizing he's trapped. He reaches out to the glass door, gets shocked back by it, and stumbles away before looking out into the hallway, seeing other creatures locked in similar cells, some apparently empty, with lab-coated workers moving through the space. My little inserts in here. We fade to black and cue the Buffy theme. It's fun to fade to black from an entirely white room. Like, I would not. As a gay, I need dim lighting at all times or natural lighting. You ain't cutting no overhead lights on, so I would have been killed myself. I would have snapped my own neck sitting up here. If I was a vampire, I'd be over here biting my arm, drinking my own blood to suck it dry. You know, like, first off, that's my first thought.
You've been out here flossing your head off. Like,
thank you. I would have ripped a wire out of the wall and sawed my fucking neck off like the mother from Hereditary. Yes. How do you feel initially? Obviously, like, we'll talk about the grander things later, but how do you feel like kind of seeing like the inside of this, like the one hallway, the fact that he's captured all the elements there of like how he's captured, he can't get out, these types of things, like Spike's really actually taken. We kind of see the other stuff going on. Like, what was happening in your head?
It was hard for me to picture a way for him to get out of this one, which inevitably, you know, he does figure out. But yeah, I kind of felt for him for a second because I was just like, this is one of those times where like he didn't see what was coming at all. This is like a completely outside situation that no one knows anything about yet, and like the last thing he was expecting for that evening was to get trapped and taken into now what seems to be like an electro shock cell. And luckily he does have a neighbor, despite the fact that some cells are empty, so that way he gets like some insight, you know. But yeah, I felt for him for a second because I don't know, how would you feel if you're anyone and you don't know what the fuck's going on, and then you're like, just trapped in the situation. You don't know what's about to happen to you. You don't know who's got
Yeah.
you. You don't know nothing. We don't even know.
So
at
you
that
kind of
point
almost
what's going
could
on.
assume that Spike would be like a goner, or like something like awful might happen to him in here as part of his storyline, versus like him escaping and going out to continue to live regular life or something.
Initially, yeah, because I didn't see that anyone was near him either, so I didn't even know how he was going to figure out enough about
Mhm.
where he's at to manipulate the situation, you know. So I didn't, yeah, with the fact that he tried to like even, you know, throw his whole body up against the glass and he gets shocked, you really realize in that moment that there's absolutely
I
like
love how you're like,
nothing you can do. There's like this tiny little hole in the ceiling that he's never going to get through. Like all these things, you know, you're already thinking because you know how he works and you know he's already in
think
his
about
head,
how he's
like
gonna
trying
get out
to
of there. Yeah.
scheme up a
I like
plan.
the look of his
Exactly.
face
So,
whenever he takes in that he's trapped within this, because like you got it like sounded like he runs from one end of the wall to the other and just charges at the fucking glass. He like walks out of confusion just to touch the glass simply, but then gets shot back from it. He's like, well, I'm not going to do that again. That didn't feel good. And then he looks down the hallway. He's like, what the fuck and where the fuck? Why the fuck? Like, what the fuck is happening? Which is so fun because like, you know, you kind of start to think like, we've seen this twice. He's the second person to get electrocuted on the show and like take him out of these people. Which fun fact, I have it a little bit later in a second. He's the guy that, you know, escapes with him initially or attempts to. That's the vampire that was in Sunday's gang that got taken at the end of the freshman by them. So he's already got the insight to kind of fill in the gaps, which is fun to have him as a little, not just callback, but a bring back. Like they brought the character back to vamp up again and like do this whole thing, obviously only to be slain in the end off screen. Poor him. Like he didn't even get the cool slays like all the other people got. And like at least the one dude, his little friend, got the whoa and then the slay, you know. The 2K was spent on him, not him. They said, no, you're not important, get off our screen, you'll come back for another episode, there's your other 2K. They paid him $2,000 for that episode only. One. I don't know, but point being that too, whenever they're like looking and tracking for it, this kind of connects to me, like, and I'm realizing this, that they saw that guy, knew he was a vampire, not only because he's running around on campus with fucking vamp face on, but like they're probably using those heat coated sensors to target which ones are, you know, regular temperature and which ones are cold leaning. So that's probably how they like saw him from afar and something like that, if they didn't look at his face. But clearly they got more awareness than anybody ever in Sunnydale to like just be able to call out vampires and shit like that. So not make up some kind of weird thing about what's going on. Fraternity pranks on the fucking dorm rooms, all the things, which is what this episode has. Anyways, getting back into this actual episode, at Giles, we come back in and he and Xander are like hanging out because this is all they ever do together apparently, sketching the military mystery commando dudes and assuming that he's human, not human. Green Ma, oh my god, Brandon, come on, get with it. Little green mug is spotted here. I haven't seen the green mugs, I think, since last season for sure. If not, I would have probably called it out. So if not, whatever, I'm doing it here. But I saw it and I was like, oh, I have some tea out of that later, and I didn't. Buffy walks in, clocks the drawing, and Giles brings up Patrol, but she's out of that. She's like, I'm going to a party with Willow, who needs the distraction, obviously, post-Oz breakup. She needs some fun in her life. So Patrol will fall now to Giles and Xander, and Buffy's off now to find something slutty to wear to the party tonight. I love how she just says that too. I mean, it's written in the dialogue for it, and we've always kind of commented on the fact that the writers put words like slut and whore and like things like that are kind of demeaning to women in there, and that's not cool. But it kind of, in the episode, when you're just really immersed in it, makes me feel better about it, that it's coming from Buffy's mouth, and she seems so chipper to be like, I want to look like a whore tonight, so I look super sexy, like I want to look revealing, and
I love it.
like in that, I don't know, it's very like college girl. I feel like most girls would like kind of own that. She like claimed the word for herself, and that made it okay just in the episode. Not for the writers for doing that. Back at the labs, a blood pouch is dropped from Spike's holding cell as his neighbor calls out not to drink it, explaining it's drugged and how they do experiments once you're passed out, aka then you're dead. Spike wonders how he knows this, but he's uncertain, claiming the last thing he knew was he was out in the real world running from the Slayer, and the next thing he's here.
The Slayer! I knew it! Took apart my crew and led me straight to these guys. Set me up too. I always worry about what happened when that bitch got some funding. She's wised up a bit. Fine! Take her apart. I don't care how brilliant she is.
As soon as this motherfucker mentions the damn Slayer, he's like, the Slayer! Like, I knew it, blah, blah, blah. He's talking about how, like, I always wanted to know, or I always knew some shit like this would go down if that bitch got some funding. Yes, Spike. Buffy created a whole government-opted lab test facility for monsters. Like, are you fucking kidding me? What? No.
I think they missed the point largely on their end as vampires that this was a predestined assigned duty for Buffy, not something she applied for, like a job that she went and interviewed for and was like, yes, I got it. You know, like,
no,
she hates this. The last thing she's going to do is make a whole fucking blown operation happen with any of her funding that she had or doesn't have. And waste it more on vampires, especially.
We know Joyce ain't funding this because Joyce ain't got money like that. She got a gallery money, but it's all for her weed.
If Joyce even found out about this and Buffy had something like this, she'd be like, first off, you know the size of a grow house that you could have bought.
The initiative actually is the cover of the Demons is the cover for Joyce's weed facility that's actually taking place on here. That's what it is. Behind the walls.
That's an elaborate ass cover.
What makes sense in this town? Joyce is trying.
I thought a cover was just
trying
like
to keep up with the times and understand like what this town has relevance. You know, she gave that whole speech back in Gingerbread where she's like, "This town has monsters and the vampire slayers and blah blah blah." So now she's created this whole facility so that way she can house her weed. So that way the government's not coming for that; it's coming for her demons. It's a distraction, all ployed by Joyce.
No, it's a combination of what I said and what you said. And what really happened is Buffy already started this whole operation, and Joyce found out, and she was like, "Oh no, the fuck you don't! You're about to get kicked out of the house. You better go be Anne again." And then instead Buffy was like, "Mom, instead what if I make you an underground grow house in addition to the warehouse?" And then Joyce was
it makes sense because all that silver tinned looking like space that's in the middle of the floor, it's like the heat lamps can like make the weed stay. I don't know this listen,
it's their weed tray. That's what they have
went
to
on
do
a whole
trimming.
unexpected tangent about Joyce when I initially was going to say I was going to call back to the freshman when Buffy's like, hope mom gets the bill for these books and takes it. Okay, Buffy's mom got the bill for those books. She's like, Buffy, you need to find some other funding. So Buffy went and created this government operation. Meanwhile, we done changed it before I could even get that out of my mouth that this is whole Joyce's operation. She created the initiative. And
it's a joint operation.
Of
LOL.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, they went in together.
But that's double meaning in this case.
Oh my god, it was a joke. I get it now. You had to explain it to me like I have to do to everybody else on this show. But yes, it's a joint operation. A Jiffy Jolly.
No, and all the empty cells we saw were not empty. Those were plants in there.
That's what I'm saying. They're in the corners. That was where they keep all the pre-rolls. They're like the codes that you have to type in and button up. They like create little slots that come out of the wall, and then they have
the lazy Susans.
Can you tell I smoked before we came in here? Not to mention, not only me like fucking up half of my fucking script so far.
That's what they put in the blood. It was like, give him some indica. He needs to come.
You need to be into bed. You need to give him the indica so we can get into his head so we can put this chip in there so that way he can't bite humans, so that way he can go work at one of our dispensaries and he won't bite the humans when they come in. He'll just sell the weed. Joyce is like, I'm good friends with him. I met him in my living room once and I hit him in the head with an axe. Okay, well, oh, that was fun to theorize. That's not in my notes in any way, shape, or form, so that's fun. Listen, the funniest part about that though is like he's like talking about I don't even remember now. He's talking about I wonder what that bitch would do, so what she would do when she got some funding. We know now, but he also was like trying to put up like Buffy's this smart bitch, like she's just built herself up so much that this is who she is. And we end that moment and clip right over to Buffy, who's sitting in her classroom, busted her ballpoint pen all over her fingers, and she's wiping it on her notes accidentally. She's like, and catching herself as she's doing it and be like, oh my god, what the fuck, you know, and she's baffled by her own actions. And I'm like, this is the girl that you just assumed created this whole military operation, Spike. Like, she can't even work a fucking pen. No, there ain't no way. She know how to work a vape pen, but not a fucking pen like this. What the fuck are you talking about?
I love how Willow was trying to make her feel better though, and she's like, those ballpoint pens can be tricky.
Yeah, it's funny because we know Buffy's like on top of her slay game for most of the time now too, but like compared with like earlier in the cafeteria shenanigans and now this, like you would really think otherwise, to be quite honest.
She's having an off day, I will say, though. Like, normal, I know that she has her moments, but they're not usually all like encompassed in a day where she's had like all these things happening, and you're like, well, girl, you good?
Either way, the whole class moment serves as an awkward moment for Willow to ask Riley after it's done about leaving Oz out of roll call, assuring that he will be back and having not fully dropped off for context of conversation. And Walsh steps in to say, oh, he won't be back to her class, and upsetting Willow long enough for Buffy to then step in and get sassy, aka basically school her on showing human emotion for someone who teaches / professes in human behavior. Love the moment, just because like when Buffy standing up for Willow is nice. We get a lot of standing up for Willow this episode. And then the way she stands up for Willow is with a fucking clap back to her damn teacher. This bitch could have kicked her ass out of this class. Like Riley too, to show the difference in dynamics between Riley and Professor Walsh too. And Riley's good boy, personality or good guy personality. Like he was being understanding to Willow, and like Walsh, her name is so hard to say, especially saying Walsh was harsh. Like that. Between the two of them, but it like kind of foreshadows the dynamics that we'll find out about these two too, because obviously Riley is more subservient and like does the things that the initiative is telling him to do, and she's like the hand of the initiative that orders out things and has a little bit more of a cold, stern personality. So we kind of get this once we're revealed like who these people actually are and how they're like actually working like, or how they show up as their regular selves in this world versus like the internal world being the initiative. You know what I mean? Not their internal, but you get the external to internal, because how they act down there is probably way different than they act up here to other people, except if you're Walsh, because she just act like a bitch to everybody. Like, I guess that's the point I really wanted to make with that. But like to debate this for like 2 seconds, Walsh does come off as harsh, but like I kind of get where she's coming from. She's not giving full on that guy that kicked Buffy out of class in the first episode as far as dick professors go. And she doesn't, it's not her job. What she says to Buffy is like, I think it is to her. I don't remember if it's her or Buffy or her or Willow, but she's like, it's not my job to coddle my students. That's true. That's not something a professor should be doing, because that's kind of like creates that power differential switches in some way, and that ethically, especially somebody that's teaching psychology and professes in this type of stuff, therapy and all that, you would imagine that they don't need to be talking to their students except for really about like schoolwork and things like that. You know what? And not just that, but you get what I mean. They can't get into their lives the same way. They don't need to be gal palling and chatting about like their breakups or like why they miss. I mean, she was a bitch to Buffy whenever she's like, I missed class due to personal reasons. And she's like, well, you can fucking miss out on the assignment. But then what she left, again, Riley being the good guy, hands Buffy her classwork to complete. You know what I mean? Back in the Halloween episode. So like it's,
I think I would make an exception for Willow because it's Willow. But in any case, because life happens and these things are going to happen. You can't expect someone to just show up and be cold-hearted to a situation that they're experiencing that meant a lot to them, so I understand both sides, but I really don't understand why Willow thought she was going to be an exception, because you can tell that Professor Walsh is kind of no joke. She's very cut and dry. She's very transparent with her motive and how she approaches her classroom and the energy that she wants to maintain, and you just know not to fuck with this bitch. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I wouldn't have cared if my own mom died and I show up to class, because I already know this woman's not going to make an exception for whatever, and I don't even know what would, because she just comes off that way, that she's not going to be very sympathetic or empathetic to whatever you're dealing with. So I don't know. It kind of doesn't surprise me that she said what she said and that she isn't.
I think it's ethical, like what she said. Now, she could have said it a lot differently. She obviously has, like, she started the whole fucking season with saying she's the evil bitch monster of death. So once again, like you're saying, like, duh, we expect this kind of from her. But with like the way Willow reacts, I think it's obviously more on her that she gets this feeling, because it's triggering for her to hear the words that Walsh is saying like, well, not to my class, he's not coming back. But then pairing that at the very end, be like, I think it's best he not come back then. And she's like, to herself, that's a harsh reality to get from this person.
Right.
And obviously Buffy on the outside, that's why she responds the way she does, because she knows her friend's in pain. So it's like a lookout kind of thing. But also Buffy, there's a lot of validity in what she just said to Walsh saying like, for someone who shows fucking or teaches human emotion, you should probably try showing some, even if it's not to the level of me being like, hey, do you want to go for drinks after class and like talk about it? You could just right here in this moment be like, well, I don't know your situation with what happened with whatever. I am going to stand firm in the fact that like, if he dropped out of my class, he clearly didn't take it seriously. So me as a professor and ethically as my morals and things like that, I don't get by with that. I'm not making an exception for him to return.
Right.
But I hope it works out for you, or that you like manage what's going on in your life or something like that. You know what I mean? It could be worded somewhere in that realm to where it doesn't come off quite as much. But the situation is good because then it gives us this moment whenever we're done with this. Walsh goes on to tell Riley that she likes Buffy. She's like, I like her because she fucking treated me that way. She stood up to me and spoke to me that way. And Riley's like, what? Like, you don't find her a little peculiar? She's like, yeah, she's peculiar because that means odd and strange, vocabulary lesson. And it's very odd and strange. She just stood up to my fucking ass because we'll gobble her up as being exactly.
No one ever does that.
I do have to call back before we move along to last episode or so. I spoiled the fact that Oz's real name is Daniel, and here we hear Daniel Osborne spoken by Willow, and I was like treating that for some reason as we had heard that like in a previous thing. We did not, so I technically spoiled it, but that is where Oz's name comes from. It's Daniel Osborne, so he takes the little clip off his last name, and I like Oz a lot better, so we're just gonna put that out there for anybody that hasn't caught that or did not know. You should. You dumbass fuckers didn't know that. Are you serious? Exactly.
You do now.
I'm just kidding. Y'all aren't dumb. Keep listening. Or don't. I don't care. Over with Giles and Xander at his basement. They are gearing up for their patrol night and eating stale Doritos. I had to put that in here because Giles goes to pick up that bag. First of all, the bag is old. Like, it's that old white bag with the red and blue scribbles on it. I'm like, I miss those, Loki, because I be loving my Doritos. Everybody here knows my Doritos.
It was so nostalgic.
Doritos, obviously being Doritos. My friend Shelby used to call them Doritos. I don't know why. Not because hilarious. Of mispronunciation, just because she thought it was fun, like me saying Doritos. Point being, the bag is old, whatever, but I think it's so funny. Like, Giles is like being like, oh, I'm a snack on some of Xander's stuff around here, and he's gonna eat it and it's all stale, and he like makes that weird face and puts the fucking bag back down. So he's already knowing like what's going down in this apartment, or oh my god, this basement is not a fucking apartment. Xander acting like his apartment. And then his mom, obviously 2 seconds up later, talking about like the juice and shit like that, which I'm going to obviously read into in a second. But like, why the fuck would you take her damn juice if he's got stale chips down here? I guess because it's like fresh. He's like, ooh, maybe this will wash the fucking nasty ass taste out of my mouth from these nasty Doritos that are 4 years old that Xander's been having sitting here in his damn little.
Nah, because that was made upstairs.
So I'm saying it's fresh.
Xander's keeping downstairs. Yeah, exactly. Because it didn't belong to Xander, and Xander didn't make it. So Giles is like,
I totally jumped ahead with that, but it was in context of food and bev. But like, obviously they chat a little bit about past military training that Xander had gained and still somewhat being like existent, and how he's ready for hand to hand, if anything. And these two men aren't ready for anything, as we can see, but like for the fruit punch that his mother is making upstairs, because she calls out like, I made some, and it's hopefully raspberry. But that comes back into play later. I was like, why are they going to like bringing up this military stuff? I think they're trying to make a comparison to like how we've seen military on the show before and how we've seen it now, because we've really only seen the military aspect kind of from Xander. We did go on military grounds for them to get the rocket launcher, and Xander had that whole moment to impress Cordelia, but also to get the rocket launcher and stuff. So we've seen it kind of in that way, but never really any other time. So I saw that as like kind of a comparison to put it there before the reveal. So that way we'd be like, oh, damn, this is a whole operation. This ain't just a military base. Like, this is whatever crazy government funding. Buffy Summers, CEO. But I ended up going to my notes after this tiny little scene. I was like, these men are so bored. Like, they don't need all of the shit that Xander's like compiling. He's got the fucking binoculars. He's got the damn like flare gun. His damn camo fatigues out. Like, he's supposed to blend in with these damn military people if he's out there and caught by them and stuff like that. But he's also saying like, I don't really have as much knowledge as what I used to, because it's kind of waned a little bit, but I definitely know how to kind of like fight still. But I was like, none of this equipment is going to be of use, except for obviously the flare gun does come into use. The other little side step that I want to do on this is like Xander's mom up there making that freaking fruit punch and offering it to him, like, let alone his little friend, because she's like, would you and your little friend like some from fruit punch? And she sounds so chipper and happy, and I have a really hard time Obviously, I know more about the future, so I can't really go into that territory of why I like really base this off of this. But just from what I've heard in the past, Willow, Xander, our group in general, and Xander himself have kind of made his home life seem like it was shitty. His parents got him living in the basement. I really find it hard to believe his mother's calling out, "Honey, I made fresh juice. Would you like some?" You know what I mean? She'd be like, "That'll be $3.25 for the club."
Yeah.
Like, and also the rent's due and you didn't pay it last week. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I thought you were working some jobs now. What happened to that? You know what I mean? Like, and the fact that she sounds so nice and sweet, but the fact of like she's let Anya in the house before, so she's met Anya in passing, and now Xander has this older gentleman coming over to his house to hang out with him downstairs in the basement, like Anya. So is his mother thinking now that he's like bisexual, or now he's just straight gay and he's entertaining old folk men like Xander's like a hustler or some shit?
I know.
I don't know why these are the thoughts that I was having when I was watching it.
Maybe she just thinks he's dealing drugs in the basement.
Yes, he's part of the government operation. He's one of the undercover dispensaries before all the other dispensaries become legal and they open in the late 2010s. I don't know. Anyways, moving along. Out in the college lounge, Riley and his boys, the best scene actually, low-key. Out in the college lounge, Riley and his boys listen to him gab about what Buffy said to Walsh, aka her having the guts to do as such. Everyone baffled and surprised. I thought it was funny too, because they're like playing frisbee as they're like across from people. They're not outside in the fucking courtyard playing this shit where you should be playing frisbee. They're literally tossing this damn thing across people that are also sitting in the lounge, like trying to like do their homework. They don't know, you know, it's not like a big friend group hanging out. I'm like, what if that frisbee fall out their hands and kind of hit one of these fucking people in the head? But also, like, how 90s or like early aughts was it to play frisbee? Y'all gonna bring out badminton next?
For real.
Like, that's the next thing I'm expecting to see. Parker is spotted by Forrest and he calls him over to give him the scoop on Buffy since he rolled with her, and he claims that she was all right, a little whiny and clingy, noting that she got that way after they got a little physical. No, wait, fully physical. Fucker. Because, you know, we have to be a pompous, braggy asshole. And also how she was a good lay, but we all know the difference between a freshman girl and a toilet seat, right? How the toilet seat doesn't follow you around after you use it. Riley's demeanor changing as he punches Parker in the face, laying him the fuck out, and clipping to outside as he walks with his friend, stunned he did that, wondering why. Riley thinking it's because of his crudeness, but Forrest reminding him that he says gross stuff about women all the time. Most of them are about your own mother. Yet never that reaction. So what is it then? Riley then stopping to ponder.
I just didn't like hearing him talk about Buffy that way. I think that... Well, I guess I like her. You're kind of like a moron. So you knew that I'd be like swole. Everybody knows, man. Oh, she's gonna kill you. Give away money. He's the last to know. So what you gonna do?
Now I'm going to squee a little bit because this makes my heart go a little pitter-pat, just because I think the whole dynamic is cute, because I love Buffy, so I love to see someone else start to love Buffy, and this is within the show, so I'm like, boy, go get that girl. And he's cute. Like, Riley is so hot. Blonde hair, blue-eyed guy. Like, can't have a problem with those. As I swipe my hair out my face and give myself a little hair flip and wink at Courtney.
My hair
But like the whole moment is so cute. The fact that he didn't like the way that Parker was talking about him, and this sets him apart from the other guys, because clearly we're learning that Forrest is a little bit more of a like maybe possibly a womanizer, maybe not to the degree that Parker is, but he's down for like, oh yeah, you fucked her, it was good, yeah man, like they're doing that whole guy bro thing, and Riley's over there like kind of nodding his head, like being like Joey, like listening and being like to conversations that he doesn't really know to be a part of. But whenever Parker starts to take the derail and start to basically insult Buffy, Riley's demeanor changes, and he makes that fucking face at him when he says that, and he thinks not twice about popping that fucker in the face. That stands for a lot. That's awesome. You get this wholesome ass moment thereafter too. But just like for Parker to finally get his, I've been waiting for this moment, because I know me, you, and Robbie talked about it. Like, this might not be the last little thing we ever see of Parker. So this was the final scene, by the way. Like, just say that now. This is the last time we ever see Parker on the show. And what a way to send his ass out by getting fucking decked in the face by Riley. You know? What did you think of this reveal of Riley liking Buffy, and then also this interaction with Parker?
I think it was shocking. No, I mean, it shocks you because Riley seems so timid at first and not at all like the kind of guy who's going to immediately just like swing at someone's face. But it was completely justified. So I could even see if Riley has never hit a person in his life, why he would, you know, immediately reflex with that reaction, because I feel like I would. And
let somebody talk about that. Talk about
real,
you in any way, shape, or form. Like they could just say, like, I didn't like the way Courtney inhaled, and I'm going to do this to them. Like she hit the joint twice accidentally, and I'm like, lay him out.
I would hope that. I think that I would almost hope that someone would stand up for me than I would almost like stand up for myself, because I'm the kind of person that's like, I don't want a confrontation, and I have been in therapy for a long time, so insults in general are way more a reflection of the person who's dishing them out than the person who's receiving them. And as we know, Parker to be a complete and fucking total lost cause of a douchebag, it's not surprising that he's grimy and saying the shit that he's saying, because it's a literal reflection of the person he is. He sleeps with everything with a fucking pulse. So yeah, kudos to Riley, because I don't know how the other two dudes that were there, or however many, and they didn't do this exact same thing, because I would have immediately been like,
yeah,
okay, so we're still in high school and we're gonna have locker room talk about girls like we're fucking 15. Get over yourself. Like
the way that he's talking, like I could get standing around talking about, like, because I would probably with people, I'd talk about it like with you and other friends and stuff, if I have like a conquest or I've been with somebody or whatever the case. I mean, you've heard me say some stuff here, but
I think there's a difference though between explaining like your physical interactions with someone, or like reminiscing on the experience, or even like just detailing things that you may or may not have liked.
But the degrading part of it,
yeah, but I think
that was the second part.
And this far after, like, we've been there, done that, Parker. Just go away and stop fucking
He's
talking
like, y'all
about
brought
it at
Buffy
this
up.
point. You're like gloating, like you're glad that you made this bitch desperately crazy to the point of where she's acting unhinged, and you're sitting here basically, I don't know, adoring the fact that you made someone miserable. And I don't know what that's supposed to say about someone, but it's not fucking great.
Riley clocked into it, like, and then clocked him. Like, that's the flip side of my thing, is like, as soon as you derail and you start being like, well, this parts were like, not a natural good, but like being this, it's a whole tune that you carry with it, and like how the energy shifts within it. And that's what Riley picked up on. Now, I don't expect these other guys to be like, they might not like gas him up as much. Some of his friends might, but like I don't think that Forrest and Graham would necessarily like continue to be like reactive with the toilet seat comment and things like that, which was a very aggressive way to analyze or like give an analogy or formation, like in your mind, like if that's what that's called, like to compare the two, like what the fuck. So I think like me and you, if we had heard that, I'd been like, okay, that's not cute. Like you were just saying, like we don't talk about people that way. Like calm down. But like I was interested in your hookup, but now I'm definitely not. So bye. See you later. Your name is Angel. Bye. You're gone from the show.
For real. Go somewhere else.
For me, this is like the moment that I truly began to like Riley, just as a person, a character on the show and stuff like that. He stood up for our girl, and that means the most to me. Like I said, not only does he like Buffy, and I like Buffy, so I like Riley, he stood up for someone, and stood up for a woman at that. Like, I know he didn't do this just because of a woman, but like he made the comment with Forrest a little bit ago about like what he says about his own mother, and like how he kind of brushes off those comments, but he still it alludes to like, even though I brush that off, I still don't really care for how you talk about your mother, like, and things like that, or other women and stuff like that, but I don't hype up the same way. But this one affected me differently. Anyway, back in the episode, we see that Riley is now off to go see a girl he likes, because they're like, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, I guess I'm going to go see a girl. Yeah, you are. Cutscene transition magic back to the labs. Spike is laid out on the floor as lab coats come in to drag him out to transport him to where, who knows, to do the things that guy Tom said about. Only Spike was faking it so he could escape, because he can't stay, because he's got to go see a girl. That's the part that's the cutscene transition magic, because Riley's like, I'm off to see a girl, and Spike's like, I gotta go see a girl. The alarms go off and start to raise, and Spike takes out the men that are trying to fuck with him in the hallway, helping his neighbor get out so that way he can show him the way out, because he's like, hey, if you let me out, get the fuck out of here, dude. Come on, let me out. Swipe that little key card thing. I'm like, Spike act like he's done this 4 times too, because he gets the key card and like swipes it and like unlocks the thing. I'm like, how do you know that was the right card? How do you know you have to push 3 different little buttons? They made it way too easy to get these vampires out of here. There got to be a whole system of coding. Like, nope, that's how you lost 2 this day, but not really, kind of 1.5. they've got to split up though, because you know they're running off the halls together. Them damn doors start coming down, locking them inside, and Spike's like, new plan, you go that way, and throws them into the fucking 3 military men that just came out the damn elevator. And as Spike dies through the like one last closing door, they stake the fucking dude off screen, which I thought was a pretty cool sequence. Spike chooses to use this guy as a decoy, because like Spike's every man for himself at the end of the day. Like if they had been him and Drusilla in there, maybe he would have got, back in the day, he would have got Drusilla out with him, but I don't think he would have tossed her over there. Like this guy was super expendable to him. It's gonna be him or the other at the end of the day too.
Yeah, he did not.
But like I also don't like these. I like it in the scene because it adds like a cool element to it, but it freaks me the fuck out whenever movies or TV shows do this. Like you see it in The Mummy or like Indiana Jones or like Deep Blue Sea. Anytime they're trying to seal something off, and oftentimes you're getting trapped inside with that. Like that just freaks me out. It's terrifying. Kind of just sends like a weird shiver up my spine to be like, oh fuck, like there's no way out. The actual fight sequence that occurs in the lab before Spike makes the escape through this part too is really cool, because I like that Spike's like smart enough to spin that one guy around so his syringe sticks the other guy and tranks him. And I was like, oh shit, I'd forgotten that happened. And then I was like kind of baffled though, like for a couple of reasons. One, like why Spike was able to fight these people, because apparently at this point he's chipped. So how is he like, I think, I guess the way I could explain it away is like maybe it grows over time and it's just being activated. So like it's still like trying to like operate his things or whatever. He definitely obviously can't bite somebody, but like when it comes to kicking and fighting or like shoving or pushing someone out the way, that's a little bit different. We'll come to see that a little bit differently on the show. Like it'll become more aggressive. That's why I'm trying to say that maybe this was like beginner shocks of it happening, no pun intended. But like whenever Spike gets pushed up against the glass, whenever the guy's like, hey, help me get out, like, and I'll guide you out of here, that one lab dude is holding him up against the glass. And I was like, why is the glass not shocking him like when Spike touched it earlier? Like you think if any contact, is it only from the opposite side inside the cell that it creates the shock, or is it from both sides of the glass?
I guess so.
Because I was like, if that be the case, like it would have been cool to see him dispose of the second little lab dude if he had spun him around and stuck his head and then like shock the lab dude. You know what I mean? Like, because then he didn't create the pain. The thing was, because at the end of the day, he's just moving a body. He's not. I mean, I guess it's intent to harm that fires something in the brain where they put the chip, just to say that now that's clearly where the chip is, because he keeps grabbing his fucking head every time it goes off, to deter him from doing the actions that cause violence or harm to human beings. I don't know. It was like a mess of things that I found myself thinking on, but I was like, that would have been a cool like way to do that. Or even if he had bumped into the guy, knocked the guy, and the guy got accidentally shocked to knock himself out, like whatever the case. But obviously the fucking glass, one big piece of glass only can shock on one side. You know me, I'm always looking for like the literal things in this show. Like,
I mean, I guess that makes sense because they have to also be able to handle the door from the outside, no? Like the guards do.
I mean,
so
they're opening the door
just
from the thing and it's sliding open. So like they don't necessarily have to touch the door. But I'm like, what if they accidentally decide to like lean up against one, or like how do you make electric current or this, like maybe it only reacts to cold touch, but then also not all demons are cold. Then there's demons locked in these cells too. It's not just vampires, because there were a couple of demons that we saw them operating on. They saw them in the housing cells. Like I said, it's just too many fucking questions.
The doors are made out of the chip, so it can't harm humans.
Well, I mean, it might react. It possibly could react to them in some way. Like I just like to know answers to this, or at least hypothesize why this could be. But I'm not going to waste any more time on it.
No, yeah, fair.
Back over in her dorm room, we find Willow sulking away to sad music, getting a visit from Riley there to pick her brain about Buffy. Right to the point when he comes in, admitting to her that he has a thing for Buffy. So very cute for him to come to Willow. Like the only thing he currently knows Buffy likes, and he makes that within his comment. Amazing. Like you don't know anything about this girl, so you're like, where do I go? Her best friend, which is kind of an interesting callback, because when we were kind of hypothesizing Riley in the beginning, you were like thinking maybe he kind of had a thing for Willow or something like that, or was going to be more friendly with her because of their interactions in the beginning, versus like Buffy was just kind of like this little sidestep. He didn't even remember her name like the next episode or anything like that, all that stuff. But then obviously I didn't spend time on it in the dialogue, but I do have to mention like the whole gimmick about the fucking weapons bag on the floor that Willow spots, and she's over there trying to like move it with her foot, and then he's like, oh, let me help you, because he's such a nice guy, and he just leans down and pushes the fucking weapons bag underneath the bed like she's trying to do, not even paying attention to what was in it or what happened or anything like that. Like it's kind of comical play for us, but then we're like, oh my god. But it's also put in our face right there, like, oh, Buffy's a slayer. Willow's being like, oh shit, he's gonna see this bag of weapons. Like, why are they just also laying there on the floor? Like, why didn't Buffy put them in the closet where like she had them usually? Like, I know it's Willow in the room with her, but like What if somebody like a fucking maintenance attendee comes through to like fix the air conditioning or something, and there's just fucking crossbows and fucking daggers and shit? Buffy, you getting kicked out of school. In high school, I know you made this shit fly, and Giles had a whole weapons cage. I don't know how that fucking worked, but you're not supposed to have weapons on a campus or facility, airport, or anything like that. Like, you're getting kicked out of school, Buffy, and possibly facing federal charges. Your whole government operation is going to be shut down because you got kicked out of school, and then your mom's going to be pissed because she can't have the cover for the weed anymore. Like, it's a whole problem. Riley attempts to convince Willow he's a good guy, and she's not into it because, let's face it, she's not very pro relationships right now, but he's trying to get her to help him with his feelings about Buffy and how to navigate introducing himself into her life. And we get this wholesome little quote from Willow that I've always loved so much. Like, I used to know this beat for beat. I had to write it down this time around because I haven't said it in a really long time, but I love everything it stands for. Willow goes, "Say that I help. You start a conversation, it goes great. You like Buffy, she likes you. You spend time together, feelings grow deeper. And one day, without even realizing it, you find you're in love. Time stops, and it feels like the whole world is made for you two and you two alone. Until the day one of you leaves and rips the still beating heart from the other, who is now a broken, hollow mockery of the human condition." And Riley just goes, "Yep, that's the plan." And Willow goes, "I figured it was." That saves me from later from having to put that in my quotes, because clearly that's my top quote for the episode. And I will, if you want me to do that all over again, I won't. But I really like the quote, mostly for what it stands for, because that's how love feels in the beginning. Like, time stops for just you two people. Like, Willow's talking about this fleeting, like, butterfly feelings. But it also goes to show, like, the twist on how real relationships end a lot of the times, in most cases, with pain and heartbreak. And, like, it's so funny coming from Willow to deliver this, because from the angle she's going off of, for her to have this mindset around how love is, because we did see Willow in a happy relationship and all this, and she just got her heart broken, essentially. And she's like fucked in the head. So of course she's gonna like make it sound like it's beautiful and everything, but then she's gonna condemn it at the very, very end of the statement. It's really funny. I like how the writers wrote that out for her to say, and like Willow's delivery of it. Like, you couldn't have put that with anybody else right now, and it wouldn't have hit the same exact way. And this obviously puts down Riley, because she's kind of like, I don't know, almost like hopeful for like this energy. But I'm gonna keep reading like what my actual notes say, so I don't fuck everything up. But like, she doubles back initially to not let Riley leave, because he does go to leave, and she's like, "Well, I don't want you to go empty-handed." So she's like, changed her attitude on it. She's like, "Well, if I can't be happy, like, maybe my friend can be." And that's my main point of like what I want to say, because that's like, again, always good friend energy that we see coming from Willow, sometimes from Buffy towards her friend, because we've seen how Buffy's been treating Willow through the breakup and stuff like that too. I need to take my friend out so she can like get her mind off her ex-boyfriend and like what's occurred for her. Like, they've just always had this reciprocal relationship this way. So Riley doesn't feel he's getting anywhere with Willow and opts to head out, awarding Willow for being a good friend, her finally caving in to give him a jump start into what else Buffy likes besides her. Which, you know, goes on the line of cheese. It goes into lore dropping Mr. Gordo, her stuffed piggy, and how she likes ice skating, all things we already know. But also how they're going to this party tonight that we learn is actually at Riley's home, and he gets excited that they might have a chance to interact, but not get fresh. Oh, and Willow is definitely not his accomplice. She's not. Not at all. We're clear.
Definitely
yes,
not.
We're clear. The whole scene is, I think, my favorite from the whole episode. I like the interaction between Willow and Riley here, but his comment that he specifically makes, where he's like, "You're a good friend and you want to protect Buffy." And then he recognizes Buffy seems to bring that quality out in people, and this coming off the scene where he just defended her earlier. You know what I mean? I just, it is like, wholesome is the best way that I can create this like whole interaction. And it always just makes me smile, like, between everything in it, like Willow being like, "No, you don't need to be fucking with my friend because love and relationships suck, but also I'm going to help you." I don't know. It's nice when you can see the flip side of those things and be like, well, I'm not going to make somebody else insufferable if they have the chance to be happy. So I'm glad she like kind of went back on her like initial thoughts to actually help Riley, because she could have let his ass just walk out that fucking door and that would have been that.
For real. She's being a good friend and not putting her own like selfish mental headspace right now with being overconsumed with heartbreak, which rightfully so, you know, not dismissing what Willow's going through, but to pull yourself out of that even momentarily long enough to say like, all right, I'll help assess this situation, but not.
She needs something to cheer her ass up. So she's like, well, maybe I can live vicariously through Buffy right now or some shit like that. Because like it's funny, whenever we see her later, she's like, I'm not helping you, I'm not your accomplice. But then she shows up and basically acts as his accomplice the whole fucking episode. Like Willow, what? Which you will hear me say again in a couple minutes. Either way, over in Spike's old digs, we find Harmony making the place her own as Spike comes in, having successfully escaped the facility. So his ass got out. Awesome. But also, like, Harmony is like fucking listening to this girly pop ass music in the fucking room and hanging up pictures of fucking unicorns and shit like that. And there's like pink and frilly, like fluffy stuff everywhere. She's like, Spike who? She's like, this is not dingy anymore. Even though they had a really nice bed with the bed set, the episode that we saw, Harmony is like still Harmony. This is probably how her bedroom looked at home. She went to her house and killed her parents and then took all her stuff out of her bedroom and brought it over here. all to say that I haven't even forgotten that Harmony was in the fucking show, because we haven't seen her since episode 3, which I noticed this episode too. We haven't seen Anya the last couple of episodes either, because they didn't really have a part in the show for whatever way. But obviously if we're bringing Spike back, the last time we saw her was with Harmony, so she has to come back in some way. Harmony meets his face with her hand to slap him. Like he walks in, she's like, Spike? He's like, yes, it's me. And she's like, I'm like, oh fuck. And she's like, you staked me and then you left me. She's like, where the fuck have you been? And then obviously he's like quick to butter her up with bullshit so that way he can stay there. And assuming it works for whatever reason. But he's still interested in getting the Slayer out of the way first, like, which is so eye roll moment, because she's like, oh, like he's talking about like, what is he like walking around talking to her, telling her all these like lavish things and like calling her these cute little names and stuff. And he's like, yeah, but we'll start all that right after I get done with the Slayer. And she's like, come on, Spike, she's just gonna like pap you around like she usually does. She's gonna smack the fuck out of you. You're gonna be upset. It's not gonna work out well. Like, why don't you just get over this? We can go to Paris. And then he's like, oh my god. Like whenever she said, ooh, Italian, and he's holding that sword, I was like, he's gonna swing that around and knock your head off your shoulders, bitch. Like you bring up some fucking Paris, it's gonna trigger him again. I just call back to like episode 3 and how he was acting. But she does take him back in for whatever reason, and they like kind of like start to kissy make out or like hug all over, and we're kind of like wondering what the fuck's happening, because he's like, ow, watch the head as they fall off screen. And obviously we know like his head is hurting because he's got something implanted in it now, which we will find out clearly later, but we've already found out because we viewed the episode. But it's a breadcrumb right here for us, you know, looking back in hindsight. And then I like, obviously before I move along, I have to like make the comment that I made whenever we were watching the episode. Like Spike calls her his foam latte, and immediately in my notes I was like, yes, it's because of the froth. Like Spike knows how we like the coffee. A froth latte. But then at the end, like he's like running out of things to call her that are like sweet, and he goes, my little mentholated pack of Camel Crush cigs or whatever the fuck. He talking about some damn cigarettes, because now he's moved past like the superficial bullshit, and he's like, where are my cigarettes? Like I definitely need to smoke after all that bullshit.
Yeah, because he's dealing with her again.
Slash everything he just did with, goddamn. Courtney said Harmony is shit.
I feel like he seems more like on edge now that he's around Harmony than he even did when he was potentially stuck in an electro whatever in his cage, where he's just getting bags of drugged indica blood dropped down at his feet.
Well, apparently he's told her 4 times to not touch his fucking head, and she's still rubbing all over it, so I'd be annoyed with her too. So we got that. So we get a little quick scene outside to see Giles and Xander out on their patrol amongst shaded trees, like on the lookout. Giles clearly is annoyed by Xander's rambling and asks him to shut the fuck up. And basically this whole 10 seconds is just so we can get a cutscene for Giles to tell Xander to shut up. You'll love to see it. Just, I'm gonna leave that there. That shit was funny. I was like, what the fuck? Xander's just dumb. He's just like, yeah, I'm on the prowl. Like, I do this, that, and the other. It's kind of like the bullshit he did back in the day, where he's just rambling on, and Giles is just like, bro, like, you're insufferable. But it's for a point, so I had to bring it in here. We clip over to Buffy and Willow arriving at the party, separating so Willow can go grab a soda as Buffy goes to meet with her friends. But we really know that Willow is going over to meet Riley in a corner to basically affirm to us, like I said earlier, she's his accomplice in helping him to get to know Buffy tonight. The layout is Buffy's dress to dance. Riley can't dance, so he's getting the Wiggins immediately. He's like, wait, no, I can't dance. She's like, oh fuck. She's like, well, just talk, blah blah blah. And that's what she does. She's like opting to tell him to go chat with her, then interact just in general. As long as you're there with her and spending some time together, like, what else can you ask for? Let it unfold. At least it'll be something. But also to remember, if you hurt her, I will beat you to death with a shovel. That shit's so funny just because Riley's face whenever she's like, I'll beat you to death with a shovel, and then he looks at her and she's like, a vague disclaimer's nobody's friend. I'm like, well, yeah, that wasn't vague, Willow. So like, yeah. He moves over to chat with Buffy, but stumbles, only having to, like what class to talk about. He's like, so you, that assignment. And she's like, uh-huh. She's like, that's what the fuck you want to talk about? It's like a Friday night, you motherfucker. Like, I don't want to talk about school. She's like, I had to teach a whole fucking course study last week, and I didn't want to fucking do that either. Like, whatever. Then he quickly resorts to offering her a cheese cube from the food tray that they have. It's like his last resort. That's all he's got. Like, you can't even see the food that she's standing by, but of course Buffy, an Earth sign, would be standing over there by the fucking food. Like, out of everywhere in the room. I know she's hanging out with friends, but like, also, who are these people that she out here talking to? We don't ever see these people again. She's like, oh, like the guys are here. Like, by guys, do you mean like Giles and Xander and like Anya? No, you mean these people from class that we'll never hear of again or talk to or see on camera, except for you to like get moved away from. What? Wild. I like how it frames Riley right here as being a little odd in her mind through their interaction, because he usually sees Buffy this way of being like kind of odd and like, I can't put her together in my mind. And now he's trying to interact with her, and she's just like, her first impression of him in this atmosphere, besides seeing him at school, is like, this guy's a fuck. She calls him a dooflater to Xander. Like, she's like, this dorky fucking dude is like coming up to me trying to talk to me, and she doesn't like get that he's trying to hit on her. You know what I mean? She just thinks he's like weird and stuff, but this is all like leading up for later, so I'm like pointing that out now. I also have a really random question that's totally stupid, but what kind of soda do you think Willow drinks? Because she's like, I'm gonna go grab a soda. Like, what do you think she would have brought back? I think it's like strawberry Fanta.
I was definitely gonna say Fanta, but I was obviously leaning towards something more obvious, like an orange Fanta, but I guess we can compromise and just say she probably got a Fanta.
It's crazy because I literally thought she would drink some kind of like carbonated fruit drink. Like, I didn't see soda in my head, like when it comes to like Coke or Pepsi or something like that. Even though she had that whole comment in high school, like whenever they were graduating, she's like touching this trusty soda machine. She's like, I push you for root beer, you give me Coke. Like, but she only probably had those options at school, so like she went with the root beer. So we know Willow likes root beer, but I was like, if she going to a party, she definitely pouring that orange Fanta or some strawberry Fanta or something like that in her fucking thing.
Yeah, and I think because she likes root beer is a dead giveaway that she's not going to go for some like ordinary classic like Sprite or Coke or something like that.
Like, I don't know why this was in my mind, but once again, so much random shit was coming up this episode. And then I finally have to call out Buffy's fashion watch moment for me this episode, because I really like this like light plum berry looking halter top that she's got on. It looks good on her skin, but it also is just like a really cute top. So kudos to Buffy, because I haven't called out fashion in a while. Back outside, we find Xander alone because Giles has been so bothered by his presence that he suggested splitting up, and Xander's still snarking to himself about it. He's like, it's fine, I'll go by myself. Like, Harmony's out there. He finds her tossing Spike's items onto the ground to burn. I like how he holds up the stake, noting like, I've been trained to put this through your heart. And Harmony just looks at him and goes,
I can kill you where you stand.
Which is funny because you're like, oh yeah, Harmony's a vampire. This is also the first time they've interacted since high school, so they know each other. You know what I mean? Because she's interacted with Willow and everybody else the last time. Like, Xander wasn't a part of that. Yeah. It's just hilarious what we get of this too, because she slaps him and he's like, ow, and then he kicks her in the shin. She's like, ow, and grabs her fucking leg and starts like jumping up and down like a human would, y'all. And then they break out in the most non-threatening girly fight sequence between one another that involves hair pulling and sissy kicking, which is what she called him 2 seconds before. She's like, sissy kicker. And this all is to serve as basically Xander getting told that Spike's back in town and he's got aim to kill the Slayer. She's like, all he did was pop back up and be mumbling about Buffy some fucking more. And then, she goes to light her fucking thing. I love her little stammer out of the clip. She's like, I want to know why men always leave. And she lights the fire and turns around and Xander's gone. And she's like, see? It's like fucked up, but it's clever how they do the little like writing and stuff and like how they choreograph all this out. The fight sequence though is funny. I got a little Buffy fun fact that I'm going to burn right here instead of later. Mercedes McNabb, who plays Harmony, says like the hair pulling and shin kicking fight with Xander was actually one of my favorite on-screen fights in the series for herself. When asked if she had a stunt double, she responded, no, that was all me. We had to wear like knee pads and shin guards and stuff, which was kind of ridiculous seeing it was just a cheesy fight. She's like, but I absolutely loved it. I'm like, that's so cute. Like the scene itself is funny because like we know Harmony to not like what we kind of saw in like episode 3. sure, she can kill somebody if she has to get blood, but she's not going to get in a full-on fight with somebody as we see here. Like, it's like Harmony herself has actually become the vampire without the actual vampire. Like, she doesn't know her own strength kind of thing. Like, she's not really fully embracing this vampire side. She's still basically so far into her, like, in her head about being Harmony and her natural, like, what do I want to call that? Like, I don't know, whatever her old self used to be, like that type of person, like Cordelia and like everybody else, superficial and like a mean girl, all
Like
that
a
stuff
mean
is still
girl.
like within
Yeah.
that complex. So she still thinks she's like she would be a hair puller. She's over there pulling Xander's hair. She's not fucking like ripping his head to the side and digging her fucking fangs into his neck like Spike would, or anybody else that we've seen on this show
Yeah.
kill humans to get their blood. This is how they do it. And like whenever they're fighting, they're like pitter-patting at each other and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh my God. But it's perfect that she got paired up with Xander for this fight, because she's a perfect match to Xander, who just earlier, by the way, which is why I mentioned that whole comment that he made talking about I'm still good at hand-to-hand combat. I'm like, yeah, okay. Because if this is how you're fighting fucking vampires, no. I don't know if Harmony just brought that out of him or like what, but I ain't trusting Zampire. That's what we call a vampire with Xander. That was what we should have called Xander and the Witch. But like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I guess it is because the Harmony brings it out in him, because back in the day we have seen him pretty much fight vampires and stake them or get rid of them with Buffy and stuff, or like come in handy. But we're also so used to seeing Xander get tossed around, like in the opening sequence of like Bad Girls, whenever like he's helping, or he's like laid out, or no, the Zeppo, sorry, and he's like passed out because he got knocked out 2 seconds into the fight after screaming like a girl, and everybody else had to do the cleanup job. Like, that's just Xander's duty to like I don't know. Basically, I'm calling him on his bullshit this episode for being able to tell him he knows how to like throw up the fisticuffs, and he does not. He knows how to get knocked out or beat up by a girl. All right, back in the episode. I'm really rambly today. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. Back at the party, Buffy dances to Never Say Never by That Dog. Really good song. I like it. I just like the beginning of it. Once it gets into the middle of it, I stop listening just to say. I don't know why. I always want to skip it. But I like that. It was blind as a bat. I think it's because I can envision Buffy dancing, because she's getting it out there. She's like dipping low to the floor and shit. And I'm like, okay, Buffy better start twerking and shit. We find Willow and Riley over sitting on the couch, and he's feeling bad for his choked up failure to chat with Buffy. Willow trying to encourage that it was better than nothing, and they at least interacted. Getting cut off, though, when Dingo's Ain't My Baby comes on and having associations with it, Riley has them switch off the song for her. Love that fucking moment. Just to take notice, the Willow's demeanor change and like call out and ask her, and then like 2 seconds later be like, do you want to sit and talk about it? You know what I mean? Instead of him, she's like, tell Buffy I'm leaving and stuff like that, which I'll get to in a second. But he's like, no, I can sit with you if you need to like have someone to talk to and stuff like that. Like, that to me is like what kind of stands out. But this moment is something that I called out a really long time ago, back whenever we did season 2, whenever we were doing Inca Mummy Girl. Whenever Dingo's Ain't My Baby was playing on the stage, they were singing this song. And this is whenever Oz first saw Willow in the Eskimo outfit. And he's like, who is that girl? And Devin's like, what? Like, he's like, no, the one in the like fit right there or whatever. And he's like noticing her. So it's a little sweet little thing, but it also kind of like stabs you in the heart if you were like a Willow and Oz stan, because you're like, fuck. Like, I've been waiting for a while to get this moment, because I told you I was like, remember this song? I knew you wouldn't, but because I mean, who would really? You'd have to watch this thing like 18 times to really like know that that's a thing, but it is. But I really appreciate the show not glossing over the fact that Willow is hurting from Oz's departure too, because I feel like we're getting to sit in this with her, and we do continue to do for a little bit, just to say spoiler alert, but like, that makes this real. It makes what she had with Oz real and all this other stuff. It doesn't do like other shows. Sometimes you come back to the next episode and the person's like over the person, or they're like getting introduced into a new love interest, or they just write.
Yeah, or they're self-sabotaging and like avoiding
something,
being in the
exactly. Yeah,
stage,
but they're actually showing the process of like what's going down, the fact that Willow's still grieving this. And I know it's only one episode away, but like I said, other episodes of shows that I've seen, they go from one to the other drastically, to where like you don't even remember that person was on the show. You've had all people die on other shows, and all of a sudden you come back the next episode, you're not even having a grieving period for the person that died. Like, you're just moving on. I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, well, they're not on the show anymore, so we're not going to spend any more time with it. Or there's like one sentence spoken. Like, they had to give fucking Tatum her flowers in Scream 7 recently, because they had forgotten that they basically didn't hardly mention her the whole fucking rest of the series. And that was like one of the most pivotal deaths for Sydney, because that was her best friend in the first movie. You know what I mean? So like, they had made a whole thing for it. By the way, have you seen Scream 7 yet? I didn't really spoil anything for you, just so you know that Tatum's going to get brought up in some way, shape, or form. She got her flowers. And this is also serving as my chance to tell you that I watched the movie Weapons last night. And if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a little like horror suspenseful
I've been
movie.
wanting to see
It was so fucking good. I actually can't wait to watch it again. So everyone go watch Weapons if you haven't already. It came out all of last year.
Again.
But I don't watch movies very often, but it's been on my
I actually
list.
forgot about it, and I wanted to see it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about it. I asked Robbie a ways back, I think, if he had watched it, and I think it was Robbie or either him or Chris, and they said that they watched it and it was really good. But I was kind of scared it was going to give me the vibe of like what Long Legs gave me. I don't know if you watched Long Legs or whatever. Like that movie, like it was just draggy. I like the weird, fucking creepy scenes with Nicolas Cage and shit like that. Like the stuff that was happening, but as the story went on, I was just like, this is dragging, and this is like not. I don't know. It was just too much spread out for me. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to turn this off. But what I'm not going to turn off is the rest of the episode. Willow now is a bit bummed, decides to head out and ask Riley to go tell Buffy she's fine, but to meet her at home later. And at least this gives him something to go speak to her about. Awesome. Which he moves to do and feels more confident in asking her out also. But bad timing occurs as Xander rushes in to pull her away before he can do as such from the party anyway. Forrest is there to tell Riley that he's needed downstairs anyway, moving to the hallway to stand before a mirror, appearing to check themselves out before a green laser light scans them and the mirror opens up to a secret elevator they descend downstairs in. Us finding downstairs is actually the underground labs that we've been seeing, now labeled as the Initiative, and it's revealed that Riley and his crew are the military men that we've been seeing. Oh, and not only them, Professor Walsh is also the lead of the Initiative. Yeah, I wrote that in my notes, even though we've already talked about that in the opening thoughts and all that shit. But like, just to say first off, like this feels very different from the show's usual vibes of Demons and Magic. Just for this to be presented, I knew we knew that like there were commando people on fucking campus roaming around doing whatever, shocking vampires, doing whatever the fuck they were doing, but this whole facility is fucking huge. Like it's underground, which means it probably goes on for like a hot ass minute. What are your thoughts on the Initiative?
I just can't believe that Riley was this good at portraying himself as one way and doing that every single day. And then as soon as he gets into this new atmosphere that we're finding out about, it's like a totally different person comes alive. So it's pretty interesting because, like I said, it just leaves too much room for worry as far as how closely knit the Initiative's like mission is to what Buffy's double life also happens to be. So that's concerning.
What do you think of like the facility and stuff like that and like what they're doing here?
I mean, that's top-notch shit for back then especially. So yeah, it makes you just wonder like where's all this coming from, what started this to begin with, because even though you can sense what's going on or you kind of are getting some sort of insight, it's not really clear obviously like what they're doing, I guess, you know, like where did this all come from, whose idea was this, who funded this, how did the people that are in charge, like Riley, how is he a favorite, or you know what seemingly seems like directly below Professor Walsh in the situation, kind of like a right-wing man, or like it seems like she resorts to him when it comes to like going out on the field and immediately telling him like this is what everyone is to do and you're supposed to tell them that. So he's like a person of authority, clearly. So then it just makes you wonder like how long has he been doing this, how long has this actually been going on, how long have they been there, like how many vampires / demons.
That's literally like what's in my notes. Like, and part of what I want to say is like I've always been curious, has this been going on in Sunnydale for a while now? Is this something new that's like relevant to this year, or
or what tipped it off, you know, for someone to wake up one morning and be like, you know what we should do, we should take all these things that I know exist here and start like researching or experiment, whatever the fuck, you know. And then I don't understand because I'm like, is it military affiliated because they're always in like combat gear when they're going out? Is that just a general thing because that's
Suit
like
up,
how you are most camouflage when you're doing, you know? So I don't know. It's like as much as you're getting insight, it still leaves more, it almost creates more questions than you had to begin with when at first all you see is these like random vampires getting taken, and you don't know at the time where they're going, and it's
Yeah.
just these military, you just kind of assume, like, are they about to use vampires for
Yeah.
war, or like what the fuck? And now it has this whole element of like, is this a lab where there's experiments? Are they utilizing them? The whole like putting the chip in their brain so they can't harm anyone kind of blows the theory that they're going to use them for
Yeah.
war or something out of the water if they can't harm anything, so
Yeah,
I'm just
I didn't actually even think about the fact of that. I think that's just so that way, like, to see if they can, kind of thing with the vampires, like to see if like their test works for that, because then they can release them
It can
back
be
out.
like
But
a
maybe then, like I
switch
said,
that
they
they
can use them
turn
even
on.
if it's something as simple as working in a weed dispensary, like as a joke. Like maybe they can be utilized in some other way, shape,
Yeah,
or
no.
form to like not harm people, so that way they're having less deaths.
Maybe they're trying to let them be normal.
I don't know either. I
I
don't think
I
that
have no
that's ever
idea.
really truly revealed to us in that way too. It reminds me of Stranger Things, kind of like how to connect this for you, but the research team and like what they're doing on Stranger Things with like 11 and everybody else, like Dr. Banner, I think is his name, isn't it? Papa, whatever you want to call his ass. He's like basically the Maggie Walsh of this type of thing, or like the face that we're getting it from, that's leading some of these experiments and saying like, no, you need to make sure you get this vampire back. This is going to be on our heads if you don't, type shit, blah, blah, blah. But they're like not part of the military. They're also not part of the big things that happen, but they are protected probably by government, just like as these people that work on Stranger Things are. They like are easy to do cover-ups. They have connections and ways to get things done, but they're like a sub-level version of some kind of government funded thing that's doing this test. Like the money's been distributed out, which you usually see in movies and TV shows scientifically about this kind of aspect of things. They get funded to do this, but it's an under the table type job, so they're their own little like small division of something going on. You know what I mean? Like not every military group out there in the world, like the Air Force isn't going to know about this like government deviant operation that's going on because they don't want it unveiled yet. Just like Area 51 shit, people don't want people to know that aliens really exist, but yet they've got the people doing the research and lab and testing probably aliens and shit like that they found on Earth, or spaceships or weird things like that they just won't release to the public for the very obvious reasons of why not. Mass hysteria and all the problems that can kind of come with that. But I thought that was interesting, like the comparison I noticed whenever I was rewatching season 1 of Stranger Things to be on their podcast. I was like, holy shit, this is like kind of running like very in sync with like Buffy, not necessarily in context of what happens, just because of the government funded fucking science bullshit, like training people to like have powers and do weird stuff. And this version of it obviously is like changing demons and vampires, like whatever else they're going to do with it, but just like chipping them or putting like, I don't know, they're always doing tests. Like that's why your mindset was going into like, I think they're doing experiments on them, that's why they're taking them. I don't know what the experiments are, but that's probably what they're doing, because that's usually what happens. Long-winded, but that's how I got that out there. I kind of want to skip the rest of my notes that I had on this and stuff like that. With the exception of this one, whenever we watched the last episode, whenever Professor Walsh got attacked by Where Oz and Veruca, and she's at school the next day walking with Riley in the halls talking about like, I was attacked by the dogs, and she was like saying something very specific, and Buffy obviously comes in to talk to them, and she's like, oh Buffy, like I hope you like walk on campus safely at night because I was attacked by wild creatures last night, or dogs, or whatever the fuck. In hindsight, you kind of look back to that moment and you're like, oh, like y'all were talking about like there's these demons that we saw on them, we're calling them dogs, but we already know that like there's these creatures out here that we need to probably get a lock on. You know what I mean? She's probably ordering him behind the scenes to be like, we need to be on the search for these people. So it's not only Buffy and everybody else looking for the werewolf. Now we see why the military men were out there running into Buffy and making her drop her fucking gun and stuff like that, looking for damn werewolves also. You know what I'm saying? In the daylight, that's the wrong time to be doing it, but again. And then I'm going to call out really quickly that we get the score for The Initiative here by Christoph Beck, of course, and it's brilliant. This is the music that plays on the background of the DVD video box set things on the menu screens. The men are informed that Hostile 17 escaped, aka Spike, and they need to get out of there and find him as they suit up, under the preface that knowing this could make the whole operation end. We find Riley not only is one of the military men, he is a commander with a high rank, being team leader essentially, as he orders his troops to spread out to different areas to find and retrieve the Hostile and bring it back, staking saved as a last resort. Then them eventually vacating the labs through a secret passage in the woods to start the search. I love how they all come out of those fucking things in the woods, and they're like don't have any masks on. Anytime we've seen them, like in the Halloween episode at the end of the first episode, they're all like completely like covered up. I guess they didn't want to look like ICE agents anymore. They're like, no, we have to show our face because we know who they are now, so they don't have to wear the mask anymore. Because they're like patrolling. I mean, they put the mask on when they go in the school later to do the whole thing with the shut the lights down and stuff, so that way they're not seen then. But now they're out here just walking around the woods all willy-nilly and be like, what's Riley doing out here with a gun? Like, no.
I know.
I don't know what's going on there, but that's what's happening.
It's like, it's not Halloween this
But now
time.
we know
You
how
can't
they're
just be
getting
out
around
there.
too. They're like coming from underground somewhere and like through secret little passageways and shit like that, which is kind of cool because they've had to build all this stuff. And like, I'm like, good thing Sunnydale's a small ass town and everything would just be so interconnected perfectly. Over at Giles, Buffy is being informed of Spike's return and ruining her night off. Xander quick to comment on Buffy's Teutonic boy toy he saw her with, her claiming he's not as such. She's like, Riley's a doof. First though, I have to like note the comment, like Xander, he's like, it's very season 1 and 2 commenting on Buffy with some guy because she's like, what is that supposed to mean? He's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, okay, I don't take it in the same context as like the way you were acting, but like clearly you were a little bit jealous that Buffy's like over here, like, and you're first citing this guy that's clearly way hotter than you that Buffy's like hanging out with. Like Buffy doesn't even know she likes this guy or if she likes this guy or that this guy likes her, but you're reading the situation and be like, oh, this really hot guy's talking to Buffy. And then he calls him Teutonic. I have to split this up because vocabulary lesson with Brandon. The word is used twice this episode, so I think it has like a specific meaning. Teutonic as a word often describes qualities, stereotypes, or cultural traits of German people, such as orderliness, discipline, and respect for authority. In context for Riley right here, he was using it as a stereotype for like German people being like blonde hair, blue eyed, like very strong in character and person. Like usually you see like a classic German man and he's usually blonde hair, blue eyed, and very like brute, like I'm strong, like I'm a rigid man, like type energy, you know? Or at least that's persona wise. I don't know very many German men, and I only know German women. AKA one / a teacher I had in high school. Anywho, Buffy is off to find Spike. Xander offering her his freaking flare gun to signal them if she gets into trouble. Not signal ships at sea, because I love how she makes that comment. She's like, I have no use for this. This is pointless. And he's like, no, you really might need it. I'm like, okay, she's a vampire slayer. She's not going to need you to come run in to help her for backup. So, but she will shoot somebody in the face with it, or shoot somebody in the face with it later. She's like, this will be fun. Her goal overall, though, was to stake Spike if she finds him, and Xander and Giles start pondering if Spike will find her, to which Giles is certain, because she's like, I'm just going to go out there and sit in the fucking thing. He wants me. He's going to come for me, and like, so I'm going to be out there waiting for him. But this is the moment, too, where I'm like, damn, Buffy's just kind of done with Spike's shit. She's like, I'm finally going to fucking dust him. You know what I mean? So she fronts in his ass. It's on sight. Like, he's dead. This cuts us over to the school attendance rooms where Spike is finding the dorm room that Buffy is located in on the computer. This is like the second time we've seen this get broken into, because Buffy and Xander went there to all pull the records on where Sunday and them could be living. And I'm like, I didn't think we'd see this damn room again. Not important, but I made it a comment. Outside on campus, Riley, Forrest, and Graham come across Buffy sitting on a bench, compromising the area, and 100% not making crazy naked sex with Xander, as earlier suggested, because when he was staring in that mirror, he's like, they're probably all on the way to having crazy naked sex. I'm like, no, they're really not. Riley changing and moving out there to get her out of there versus use her as bait for the vampire hostel, as Forrest would suggest, because he's like, we can use her at bait. He's like, you want to use the girl I like as bait? And he's like, well, I mean, if they only knew contextually what Buffy just said in Giles' house, they're all on the same page with this, because Buffy's trying to get Spike by being bait, essentially. She's like, he wants me, I'm going to be out there doing this. I mean, the hiccups. But like, this is something that I need to know. Where the fuck did Riley go get the clothes to change into? Did his ass go all the way home and put on jeans and come back to this? Because like the top is green, so I get that. That could have been his undershirt from his like suit that he was wearing, or his commando gear, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But like, this motherfucker shows back up in his fucking white sneakers again and tennis shoes. I'm like, they wasn't carrying this. Like, do they carry a bag with them that's got like civilian clothes just in case he need to change really quick or something?
No, they probably just like beat up some kid walking through the woods.
Okay, that's aggressive. I really don't think Riley would be doing that. Clearly,
it was Parker.
No, now I believe that was Riley. That shit was funny because it's like 2 seconds later, and then he's got to go change back like before they finish the rest of the mission. I'm just like,
I
It's just dumb.
know.
But I love the
Ridiculous.
scene because Riley makes it seem like he wanted to continue their talks and also figure out like what's up with the guy that she left with, because, you know, obviously he's got to sneak that in there, attempting to usher Buffy towards her dorm also. But Buffy has work to do and she's like starting to make up stuff about like needing alone time and space and such. So, you know, shoo Riley. He thinks that she's intoxicated because of her behavior and again tries to take her home, her defending herself that she can take care of herself, but he doesn't believe her. The claim that boys can take care of themselves and girls can't starts to come up, and Buffy refers back to realizing his statements are Xander's statement from earlier, so in fact like accurate, and he is so Teutonic. And in this case, when Buffy uses the phrase here, she's using it in the context of Riley being like restricting her actions, asserting that girls need protection versus like strong rigid males, you know, being like we have to take care of the women and all of that type of stuff. So she's like, oh my god, I see what Xander meant, like, but I'm also seeing it in the different flip side of what Teutonic also means. So I hope you guys love your vocabulary lesson today. The two attempt to stand their grounds on staying out there. She's like, well, if you're staying, I'm staying. He's like, well, if you're staying, I'm staying. And then they hear a scream and they both quickly go off to their fucking separate directions because they're like, gotta go. Buffy's like, I gotta go save whoever that was. Riley's like, oh, that clearly might be the vampire we're after, like whatever. I don't know where this scream came from. I don't know if it was in part like, because it's not Willow, because they find him up in the room standing with Willow before they ever get up there, before he attacks Willow and shit like that. You know what I mean? All of that, or maybe that's right thereafter. But I used to think back in the day it was Willow's scream that they heard, but it's not. So I guess someone just screamed and like put them on alert where they're like, okay, I need to leave. Like, I do not know, because Buffy doesn't even show up till later, so it's not like Buffy right after the scream. Again, I always want to have practical fucking answers to questions. I just don't get them. The boys have gotten signal, though, of where Spike is through that tracker that they placed on him and begin to follow its location, clipping us over to Willow's room as a knock is heard on the door, and she invites the person in, only to be alarmed when it's Spike on the other side now entering her dorm room. I love how you're shaking your head now, and that's what you were doing. You were like, oh, fuck. As soon as you saw it with Spike, you're like, damn. You kind of almost think it might be like Riley coming back in or somebody else, like, because it was a neutral person earlier, but then you're like, damn it. And then this kind of gets us back on the thing of like, do vampires have to be invited into the particular room? I know they can come in the dorm, but obviously not. Like, I guess Eddie was dead, so like they were able to go in and take his stuff, or anybody else that they killed. And we had that whole conversation about this, like, dude, how do they get in? Like, can they go into the facility? Could they have not gone in Eddie's room if his roommate was still there or something, if he had a roommate? So I guess Willow did have to invite him. And it kind of sucks in this town, because if you did just hear a knock on the door in somewhat setting like this, or maybe in like not an apartment, because if you're going to go look through the peephole or something like that, but maybe in this kind of atmosphere, you might think it's like Giles stopping by. You might think it's Xander stopping by. Maybe she thought Oz came back. You know what I mean? Something like that. And your first reaction when someone knocks, you just go, come in. Not in this town.
Yeah.
As is shown, because you know, he walks in, he fucking is quick to attack her, giving her the choice also of like, he's like, well, I could make you a vampire like me, or I could just kill you. And he didn't give her this like choice last season or anything like that. He was just gonna fucking kill her and Xander and use him for what he needed and get the fuck out of there to get Drusilla. But he throws her on the bed, switches on the stereo to hide the bonus screams as they struggle, and eventually he leans down into her neck as the camera pulls away into the halls, showing no one knows what's occurring before we fade to black. That whole sequence, everybody always gets really, really upset because obviously he's forcing himself on Willow. It's very synonymous, like with how we would see a representation of a rape scene happening, a girl getting forced sex by a man and stuff like that. Obviously, this isn't the same thing because it's kind of, in a way, contextually, you could put it there, because we know the vampire's bite is like a synonymous with sexual intercourse and like lust and like all these other things we talked about back whenever Angel was drinking out of Buffy and shit. But the way that they play it off, it's kind of horrific to kind of watch, because we know she's not about to get sexually assaulted in this way, but we know that she's getting assaulted in general, and you feel bad for her and stuff like that. But whenever like it pans out into the thing, I think there's like a little subliminal message there that like a lot of things go on behind the doors that we don't get to see. Like everybody else is just continuing regular life in the hall. They just think music's blasting in that room, but technically in a real life setting, a girl would probably be in there getting assaulted and no one would know about it. Life just is continuing on. You know what I mean? I think there was some interesting messaging there.
Yeah.
Obviously you were on edge too. You were like, oh man, you got up in your seat and were like, what the fuck's happening? Like, I don't know if were you thinking Willow was about to die here or something?
Either that or that he was going to turn her, basically, because they made it look so much like, you know, that's definitely what happened. Yeah. There was no way out of that.
Poor Willow this whole fucking season so far, because first Harmony done bit her. And then she got cheated on and lost her relationship. And now, like, Spike's coming up in her to fucking assault her and attack her. I was like, this girl's life is going to shit. Like, she was all thriving in college, and now Buffy's back on top, and now Willow's in the fucking bottom of the barrel. What the fuck? Like, happening? Literally, poor Willow. But we come back in to find the room is a mess from their struggle. But Willow is laying on the bed behind Spike, and him on the edge of the bed, kind of like looking down at the floor confused, and Spike noting that this hasn't happened to him before. And this is also where they bring back the context of sex occurring. And now they're trying to like create this like lighter, goofy moment versus the like kind of assaulted scene that we've seen before. They're making like light of it, which kind of isn't fair, but also obviously for the show it is. And they're like playing with the jokes, and he's like talking about like this hasn't happened for me before, like maybe we could try again and shit like that. And she's like feeding into it too. I guess he didn't bite her. It looked like he got to her neck, but obviously we clicked away before maybe he like fell away with his head hurting and shit like that, because he attempts a couple more times to do it over this course of the scene and is triggered by the pain grabbing at his head. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? They try to make sense of it, and Willow's starting now at this point. She's like, it's me, isn't it? Like Willow, because she's like, you came looking for Buffy and now you had to settle. And she's like, I'm not sexy enough. And he's like, no. He's like, you totally are. He's like, last year I totally like would have deemed you bite worthy. You're just as good, kind of thing. I'm like, what is the show doing right now? I just don't understand it. But it's silly to watch because you're like, Willow, this is not the point. Now she wants to get bit. Like, now she wants the chip in his head not to be going off, so that way she feels like she's lusted
now
after.
Because she feels rejected from the experience. She's like, I braced myself up for all the shit.
Literally Willow all day and tomorrow, though. She's like, I don't want that, but then the second you tell her she can't have it, she's like, wait, I want it. Like all of us. True.
That's just human nature.
Like I said, all of us. Outside, using infrared detection, the military men scan the dorms and pick up the heat signatures, obviously eventually realizing the room that Willow and Spike are in, he appears cold, and they've officially locked his location in as they head up there, putting on mask and night vision gear. Riley calling in a lockdown on the dorm. Riley too, like calling in this lockdown, like he makes this call, I guess, and like as soon as they get up there, I don't know how the other people know, but all of a sudden the lights shut down, and then like the second they go to leave later, once they're clear of the hallway, the lights come back on. I'm like, is someone watching on cameras to like click the lights back on at this specific time, or did he like hit the pager and we just didn't see it? He's like, all right, bring the lights back. Like, I don't know. Again, practical stuff I need the answer to. Thank you for saying it's a good point, because I feel like it's a point worth mentioning. Back inside, Willow continues to sort of console Spike on his limp vamp syndrome and realizes none of this makes sense, and then smashes her lamp on his head while he's hunched down feeling bad for himself. She's like, I'm gonna kick him while he's down. And she attempts to escape the room, and I guess her fucking door is locked. Like, I guess, I don't know why she can't get out the damn door. What's got the door stuck? Don't know. They just needed her to buy some time. And they come in the dorm, obviously, fucking surrounding the place. Lights are off. They got their little fucking night binocular bullshits on. And the door opens eventually, and Willow comes smashing through it. And I used to think Willow like pushed into them, but I think Spike pushed her from the room into them, because then he moves out quick to attack them and attempt to bite masked Graham. Because Graham's like, it's on me, and he reels back in pain, and this gives him the insight to be like, oh shit, like the chip's working for later. They eventually get the up hand on Spike, and they bind him and prepare to get him out of there, possibly taking Willow along too, because they're like saying this procedure, like maybe she could have been turned, or maybe she's been bitten, whatever the case is. And Riley's like, no, just leave her. I'm curious if Riley like noticed that was Willow and was like, no, like she's fine, or if he was just trying to like focus on really getting the vampire because of the situation that was unfolding. Spike breaks loose of his little things, because apparently like they think zip ties can hold fucking vampire arms in a little sack on his head, and he starts fighting the fuckers again, eventually grabbing a damn fire extinguisher, and these motherfuckers shoot the damn fire extinguisher accidentally, which obviously bursts it and like fills the room with smoke. I didn't know this was what happened. I thought if you like shot a fire extinguisher that the white foam stuff would go everywhere. Like, I didn't know it would like create smoke or something like that. Maybe that is what happens. I don't fucking know. It looked like a fire extinguisher. I have no clue what's going on there. They move to contain Willow again as Buffy hollers out to them, shooting off the flare gun, causing their vision to be fucked up. And then she fights the soldiers off in their disoriented state. I also didn't know that. I didn't know if like, I guess that's why night vision is so important. Like if you cut on a light or something while you've got that on your face, I think it fucks your eyes up. But also the flare gun in general, it made their whole room fill up with more smoke, so they already can't see anyways afterwards, because they take off their fucking vision and now they're like fucking squinty eyed. But I guess the flash of light caused this disoriented state. her and Riley
so,
are fighting
yeah.
one another unbeknownst to each other as well. And Buffy goes in on him. Like, you see that one moment where she's got him up against the door and she's like just repeatedly punching her fist into his fucking gut. I'm like, Riley, I don't know how at the end of the scene Riley wasn't fucking limping forward and shit like that because Buffy just fucking laid his ass out, kicking him in the fucking head. She picked that damn chair up and flipped it from underneath her and hitting him in the damn head, that like Angel over on his show and shit. I was just like, fuck. Eventually, since his vision is blurry, Riley hollers for his team to abort the mission, and they exit as Buffy rushes to check on Willow, and the lights return to the complex, as I said so conveniently. Back in the initiative, Professor Walsh speaks to the commandos, not so pleased and channeling unhappy vibes to the fact that they didn't capture Hostel 17. The men speaking up about the accomplice that the vampire apparently had and that they came up against. And they're like, I love how they attribute it to like, he was strong, he was big, like he like got the help on all of us. He was beating all our fucking asses. Like assuming that it was a guy or that it was this big creature, like what? And then Riley's like, whatever it was, like not even like attributing it. It could have been a human. It could have been just another being or something like that. They thought that like Spike has this fucking accomplice. I'm like, no, it's a fucking vampire slayer, bro. Like, y'all don't know what this is. Y'all about to find out. Maybe. We'll see. But they also conclude that they had one good thing come out of the interaction for the night before, is that Hostel 17 cannot harm people because he experiences intense neurological pain that feeds into his brain when he tries to attempt so, and he can barely even hit people anymore without it going off. She dismisses them under the pretense eventually the men will bag it, and she continues to look irritated. Just Spike being chipped and unable to harm humans. This is like where it's brought to your attention to say like, oh, this is what's going on with him. They've implanted him in something and stuff like that. This is the experiments that they've been doing, specifically possibly with vampires. I'm sure that some of them they've cut up and to be like, oh, how are you still living when you're dead? How does vampirism work? Like yada, yada, yada. But for you, out of curiosity, what do you think like their motives to doing all this type of stuff? Well, I don't know. You kind of said that. I'm going to ask that differently because I didn't expect you earlier to be like, I don't know if they want to like send the vampires out to do stuff, but then they kind of can't because then that negates them sending them off to war because then they can't hurt certain people. Like, this is kind of a fuck thing to ask kind of now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn because I'm like, are their motives good as far as the vampires are concerned? Because I'm like, why would you take something that you already know can live forever and implant something in its head, and this thing is more or less made to kill or harm human beings, and you put something in its head to block that one ability, but everything else I guess stays the same, so then they just become like a person with empathy that lives forever? Or do they stay looking like a demon or a vampire? Are you trying to give them an opportunity to go live a normal life, so you have to run this whole experiment to like see if it works, see if what you think will happen is gonna happen? I don't know, you know. I'm like, why is that the why
yeah,
I've
always been, still to this
why
day, like it's not,
one?
I don't want to spoil anything or like make it not a something like for you to like keep cluing into like figuring out what's going on, but like I don't think that's something that's ever really like spoken is like exactly what the point is, specifically with the vampires. Some other stuff will start to make sense, but specifically with just the vampires, I'm like, what's the purpose of getting them out here and stuff like that? Actually, it does make sense a little bit later. There are some reasons, but not really at the same time. Like there's some little holes here and stuff like that, but like I don't really get it. Like my thoughts around here for first watch was always that like if they're capable though of doing stuff like this to vampires, like I could only imagine what else they could potentially do, like with other stuff or whatever. Like you said, like maybe vampires specifically. Vampires are obviously out here trying to harm people. Maybe some demons too, but most of our demons are probably just demonic entities that like they hate everybody, so they're not just bad for humans. So maybe they are trying to like build an army with certain other people or do certain other things or figure out like certain things like about the demons themselves, especially if they have like special abilities or powers or things like that. You always see this type of stuff, like I was saying, like with Stranger Things or like the X-Men movies or stuff like that. That's what happened to Wolverine. They found out that he was a mutant and he could heal super fast, so they've decided to like play test subject with him and stick adamantium in his dead body and give him fucking metal claws and shit like that. Like, I mean, I know he already had like the bone claws, but they like they did testing on him to make him like more impervious to harm, less impervious to harm, more impervious to harm, less impervious, because he would be less. He's not harmed at that, and he was already not harmed. You know what I mean? So it's always their bullshit to be taking some stuff and like fucking around with shit they don't have no business doing half the time. But it kind of leads you just be like, what the fuck is the purpose of all this? But it's an interesting take on Spike because, like I was saying in our opening thoughts, like now Spike can't do harm to humans. So, like, what's his purpose now? What is he going to be able to fucking do if he can't bite people anymore? How's he going to get fucking blood? Is he going to be kind of similar to Angel in that way where he's got to go to the damn butcher shop to get pig's blood now? Like, to get his fix or something? Or is Harmony going to have to go kill people for him to feed him blood? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's going to be up in there looking for them damn blood packets in the ceiling to start dropping out again. Either way, this shifts us to the next day as Riley walks bummed looking on campus, but getting a perked up grin as soon as he notices Buffy across the field, moving to chat with her, apologizing for their interactions the night before. He asks about Willow since she left the party, and she claims that she's doing all right, even with the frat prank that occurred on their dorms, as they're calling it. And he clues in to remember that, oh yeah, you know, y'all live in Stevenson. That's the dorm that y'all live in. She's like surprised that he knew that, and she's asking how, and he remarks that he went there to speak with Willow, and obviously he can't tell her exactly why. So he's like, oh, I needed help with the project, which sounds like very much why someone would go to talk to Willow, right? You know, her curious if it worked out for him, and he's not sure yet. She reminds him at the party he wanted to tell her something before she bailed, wondering what that was, but he claims to have forgotten, then questioning if Willow happened to mention to her that Riley really likes cheese. It's so cute though. She looks at him puzzled and perplexed, but through a smile voices that he's a little peculiar. Something that he agrees that he can live with as the two walk off across together on the campus. We fade to black, and here endeth the episode. Fine fuckingly. I love the use of peculiar all episode because it's fun. Like, obviously Riley says it a lot and stuff like that, but I want to, like, I know I asked you and stuff like that about like Buffy and stuff like that. Do you think like, at this moment that Buffy might be kind of into him too?
It's kind of hard to say. I feel like there's potential for sure, but
well, I'm going to say it this way just because I noticed it this episode. I'm not going to obviously give any spoilers and stuff like that, like to what occurs and whatnot. But earlier in the episode, whenever Riley gets caught by using the word peculiar to describe Buffy, they're like, that word specifically was a dead giveaway that you like this person. So now Buffy's looking at him saying, you're odd and unusual. And she herself is odd and unusual. So like, I'm thinking in her mind that this is a dead giveaway that Buffy might have some kind of like interest in him now because he's like popped up a few times and now they're walking on campus together. If anything, she's making a friend where she didn't have him before. Somebody that she dropped books on his forehead and fucking busted his shit up in the first episode and he didn't even remember her name because it fell out of his head. Like, you know what I mean? So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
But what else is interesting possibly is a couple little paragraphs about metaphor and themes for the episode. Obviously, this episode is dealing a lot with hidden identities and the illusion of control. Everyone in this episode is living a double life without fully realizing it, and Buffy is trying to adjust to a more normal college experience, while Riley appears to be just a charming, slightly awkward TA, but both of them are operating in worlds the other doesn't understand yet. The initiative itself represents a shift in how the show approaches monsters. Instead of the supernatural being mysterious and ancient, it's now being captured, studied, and controlled by a military system. It's science trying to dominate what used to be mystical. The idea is that monsters aren't just something to fight anymore. They're something to contain, experiment on, and weaponize. Spike's storyline is where the metaphor really lands. By implanting the chip in his head, the initiative strips him of his ability to act on his nature. He's still a vampire, and he still has all the same impulses, but now he physically can't harm humans. It raises the question of what happens when you remove someone's agency but not their identity. Is he changed or is he just restrained? There's also a layer here about perception versus reality. Buffy and Riley literally fight each other without knowing who the other is, which mirrors how little they understand about each other's lives. They're attracted to each other on the surface, but underneath that, they're on a completely different side of the same conflict. And that's really the core of the episode. It's the beginning of Buffy stepping into a world where things aren't as clearly defined as they used to be. The lines between good and evil, human and monster, and even truth and illusion start to blur, and Buffy doesn't even realize that she's already in the middle of it, which I thought was interesting to add. She's in college life. Clearly some bullshit's going on underneath campus and stuff like that. Like with this, there's also these things that obviously it's going to get introduced to them at some point that Spike's chipped and like this is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like some bullshit's going to become occur of it, and she doesn't even know what's happening around her, but obviously we know that she's going to know, you know. I know, you know, now we all know. Or we knew. Some of us. Courtney now knows. She's a knower. I do know some Buffy fun facts that I didn't read out earlier. Working title of this episode I put in here just because I thought it sounded stupid. Originally they were going to call this episode, before calling it The Initiative, Secret Agent Man. Like, I thought that was stupid sounding. I'm like, the initiative sounds so much cooler as an episode title. But obviously the writers changed it because they were like, oh, I feel like this will be a dead giveaway to like the revelation about Riley, because secret agent, man, you know what I mean? You might be like putting it together in your mind.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the promo for this yet, so when I go to post that, I'm curious if they have anything in there. They're like, someone Buffy knows might be such and such or something. I'm curious if they like prelude to any of that, or if they left it as a complete shock, you know? Seth Green has been removed from the opening credits and replaced with James Marsters as a main cast member. So I can kind of say that in a special way. So maybe we'll be seeing a little bit more of Spike nowadays. Several of the names in the student directory that Spike's looking through when he's trying to find Buffy's room, he passes Willow's and gets down to Buffy's, but the names in there are all like behind the scenes production staff, like chief assistant of lighting, the technicians, Marty Noxon, her assistant, is in there and stuff like that, the stunt coordinator, the hairstylist, costume supervisors, set designers, all those type of people are the names that they put on this little list. I was really sad that Douglas Petrie was not on the list on the dish. Call that. The vast set for the initiative, revealed for the first time in this episode, was filmed at Skunk Works, which I have no clue what that is, but it's a complex where stealth bombers are built over, obviously, clearly, probably in Los Angeles. When describing the set, writer Douglas Petrie said that he was told by Jim Courtney and Joss to go big. Use your imagination. Do it. Go there. This is going to be like a big budget movie. So that's why they like fueled into like creating this big space for this like initiative environment, which kind of wondered. I mean, obviously they have it for the rest of the season, so to speak, as their home grounds for like this stuff. So we'll probably be seeing this like atmosphere a good bit. And the fact that they like rented out this space, I'm curious like how long they spent time like there with it, like, you know what I mean, or if they had to take certain things down and put it back up because other people wanted to use the facility. Was it a closed building like a bando that they just renovated to make it this way and said we're going to pay out for like the 6 months while we're filming the season or something, you know what I mean? For the fact that they reshaped this, because they usually don't build sets like this on the show. They do small little sets and stuff like, you know, or cemeteries and things like that they do on set, but this was like a whole actual location they had to go film elsewhere versus like all the stuff that's on the Hollywood studios or the other places they typically would film, you know. Or like the big set that they built like Main Street and stuff that they always walk down with the movie theater and stuff like that, where the coffee place is and all that other shit. Graham Miller was named after a college friend of Douglas Petrie's. Graham is obviously Riley's friend. The original Graham Miller was Canadian, and while talking to Buffy and Riley about Buffy with Riley, Graham references this by saying maybe she's Canadian whenever like he has his like intro in the beginning. So that was a little call out to that dude's friend. Forrest and Graham were meant to be Shakespearean sidekicks whose job was to tell the hero what his heart truly wants. So it's Shakespeare with ray guns and shit. I guess that's like, because Forrest and Graham are basically giving them like all the like things he needs to know about Buffy and telling you what your heart wants and shit like that. One of the demons that is locked inside of the initiative cell that we see being experimented on in that little silver box area, that's actually one of the same demons that Buffy was fighting at the beginning of the Wish episode. It was like tentacled, kind of looked like the dude from, I related it to like Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever his not Barbosa, but whatever the other fucker tentacled dude, I can't, Davy Jones. He looks kind of alien-esque like that. He is the demon that she's like, nerf, like, and she stabs it in the tree. I'm just trying to take you there mentally. Everyone else knows. And most of these Buffy fun facts are typically for listeners too. They're not just for me to tell Courtney, because probably couldn't give two fucks, you know. Some of them are worth it, but like the one about Forrest and Graham Shakespearean sidekicks, like I don't even know why I put that in here. I didn't want to know that, but maybe y'all do. And my last one that I'm gonna get on is a goof. When Spike throws Willow down on the bed in her dorm and the camera shows from Willow's point of view, the top of the set and the set lights become visible. And I'm assuming that's not on the new like reproduced remastered version that you can now see it because it's out of frame, and now like you can see the full frame of the people in the background. So got the fucking boom arm hanging over Willow while she's fucking getting eat up. Yeah, crazy.
That's hilarious.
Courtney just said that so I didn't feel bad, you guys. She's stressing. She said, I'm ready to get the fuck out of here. She said we're 6 minutes over normal time.
It's the ADD.
Same. I'm literally always ready to go. I was ready to go like whenever I said, all right, we start the episode with. All right, let's get into our final slays.
Final slays.
Peculiar. That girl's so hot, she's Buffy. I had one this time. Again. What you got for quotes this episode? Because I have like 19. No.
19, jeez. My first one is Giles when he was like a wee bit unethical to Xander's plan about summoning mayhem through a Ouija board.
That whole fucking thing. Xander's crazy talking about like I want to fucking summon a demon through the Ouija board so we ain't bored.
I love when Spike was trying to figure out what was going on and he was talking to the vampire
Tom.
next to him and he was like, and they are government Nazis, major
They're about to
cosmetic
test makeup on these motherfuckers.
I'm like, come on, Beef is so for real. And then my last one is Riley when he said, and I was the last to know about his feelings for Buffy.
That's typically how it happens, as I said. I had two from Xander initially when Xander and Giles are talking about like the scene that you were in, and he shows him his military man drawing, and he goes, "The latest in fall fascism." So I was like fall fashion, but fall fascism. I'm like, what? It hits these days a lot more, and it probably was relevant back then too, obviously, because they put it in the fucking show. But I was like, oh, if you only knew.
Yeah.
And then Xander later when he's like, "Are you kidding? I put the Semper in Semperfi." I'm sure you do too, like trucks and like military people, like that their vehicles always have like the Semper Fi sticker on it. And I've looked it up so many times, like now I know it like means faithful and loyal, like in Latin, but like I didn't know until I looked it up for this episode that it actually is like their official motto for U.S. Marine Corps since like 1883. And it shows like their unwavering loyalty to like not only their country but their each other and their corps and things like that. But again, military jargon, so like all this stuff is coming up about like the military and stuff. But I was like, oh, I'm shocked to actually know that. Riley, whenever he's like, "Gee, I hope I'm not interrupting anything really depressing," when he came into Willow's room and she's sitting there listening to sad music looking mopey. Willow's comments to Riley about his plans with Buffy and then telling him at the party to remember, "If you hurt her, I'll beat you to death with a shovel," because the vague disclaimers, nobody's friend, obviously. And then like hitting him up with the arm pat afterwards, like for a good luck. Like after I just told you I'm going to kill you, like have fun. Riley, whenever Buffy gets taken away by Xander, and he's like, "It's not like she blew me off. She just left with another guy." And then that's whenever like Force is like coming up back with the like, "Oh, they're probably off to have crazy naked sex." And I'm like, that's Xander. She ain't fucking him in any way, shape, or form. And then I have two more. Buffy trying to get Riley to go away, and she's talking about Shu, and he notices her being weird, and he's like, "Are you drunk?" And she's like, "Yes, go and report me." Because like, but she's just like doing anything because she can't say who she is and what she's doing out there and give a reason to why she's not going to leave. So she's like doing anything she can. She's like, "Yeah, sure, I'm drunk. Go away. Go if it means you getting away to go report me and like me dealing with that later, fine. Like at least you're gone." And then my last one, Willow telling Spike, "This doesn't make you any less terrifying," and he returns it with like, "Oh, don't patronize me." It's technically true. She's like, "Oh, like you're still kind of scary, just so you know." He's like, "Bitch." Who'd you award Shining Slayer to this episode?
It was actually a tie for me between Riley and Willow.
Why Willow for Shining Slayer?
Yeah, I mean the obvious one is Buffy for obvious reasons, but Riley I gave it to because he punched Parker in the face, like let's be real. And then Willow because she was a stellar friend this episode and she put her own heartbreaking emotions aside to still like be Team Buffy and do something nice and potentially like good for her future or her relationship.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna add Willow to mine as well and just basically double down on yours because obviously like I gave it to Riley like just for being a standout gentleman, like using phrases like "I've never courted anyone like Buffy before." Who the fuck says courted? Like except if you're talking about Courtneys, like the fuck. But like his treatment of Willow too across the episode, offering to stay with her to talk and like being just nice to her and stuff like that, like shutting off the music that made her upset, like all the things that he did this episode aside from like the military stuff, even though he didn't do anything bad there, like I just gave it to Riley for that. But I'm also gonna like throw Willow on the little back end of that with you because that is a fair reason why to give it to Willow because I technically really didn't even give it to Buffy. She didn't do shit this episode. Saw more Riley on the screen than Buffy.
I mean, she had a good fight. With
Riley.
Yeah,
no, she's Slade. That's Slade.
Yeah,
which is not mine, but you know, whatever. Anything give you the Wiggins this episode?
Parker.
Listen, oh my god, I think I just forgot because he got punched. Like for a long time, my weekly Wiggins.
You're like, I don't know what to put.
Yeah, like I didn't.
Machine,
I didn't. Nothing really wigged me out. And yes, of course, obviously, yes. I completely forgot about that scene. After he got punched, I just erased him from my memory. So yes, obviously Parker. But like, I also wrote everything that Willow's going through right now. Like, just enjoy getting attacked by vampires, getting broken up with and cheated on. Like, I'm just like, girl, let's give me the Wiggins for like your existence. What Slade for you? What's your moments?
It was kind of a toss-up between obviously Parker getting punched in the face, because obviously that's my favorite moment, but also, and it was more subtle as far as like a sleigh is concerned, but when Willow, before Riley leaves the room, and she's like, she likes cheese, and it's just like so sweet, and so, like I said, it's such an example of how good of a friend she's being this episode, that she can just in a moment's notice not be self-absorbed in her own stuff when you think that that's not going to happen, and she kind of catches him as she's leaving.
Like, I'll extend the olive branch. It's got only 2 olives on it, but I eat the rest of them.
Do you have a jar of olives in your fridge?
For real though, I'm actually about to put them in a salad after we're done here. So I've been so ready to get out of here so I can get my salad. So I'm obviously top Slade moment for the season 4 is Parker getting punched, but mine that I initially came up with is just Buffy calling out Walsh for what she said to Willow and stuff like that, just like standing up to her and like all that stuff. I feel like that was a minor Slade moment, because everything else that Slade, obviously whenever we're slaying, that's a Slade moment, but that was like a good person, regular human, regular Joe Slade moment.
I guess we could say Spike too for getting himself out of the facility, because that did kind of slay.
Spike don't do the damn thing.
He had to get a leg up on the situation, and he somehow did in an impossible situation.
You know what? Speaking of a leg up, it was in my notes and I skipped it, I guess, or whatever, because I started paraphrasing how to like the scene ended. But when Spike jumped through the fucking window and did a somersault out onto the fucking pavement, like that was pretty cool. But also the fact that like whenever the stunt person landed, it looked like their ankle cracked in half and like they have no foot anymore. Like, and then he ran off limping. I was like, I think that was real. Like, because obviously that wasn't fucking James Marsters. I don't know if that was him running off after the cutscene, like of it. Like they clipped to him running off versus the person that did the dive. Because like, that was real. Someone threw themselves out that window and flipped onto the ground like that. I'm like, oh my God. Because there's no way to like CGI that and shit like that. That was a real practical stunt. I'm like, well, that fucking stunt person that has no foot now. So they're limping in fucking life.
Y'all better have given him a bonus.
Jeff or James Pruitt, whatever the fuck his name is, the stunt director. That was probably him that did that shit. Sorry. Someone commented on the episode where we did with episode 3, where Buffy was fighting Spike in the harsh light of day, and they were calling out, talking about Spike's stunt doubles doing crazy work this episode, because he was like in all the scenes getting punched up. You can tell it's not Spike or not James Marsters. Anyways, Slayer predictions. So obviously we have next episode, which we'll get into in a second, but I did have my final question for you is, where do you think the initiative storyline is headed, and do you think that they're going to end up helping Buffy or becoming a problem, now that we've kind of discussed what we discussed so far? I know it's a hard toss-up, but
I honestly have no idea. I really have no idea. It's too soon to say, especially with Riley's involvement. That makes it more confusing. So
okay, I'll let you leave it with that. I have no idea. The next episode is entitled Pangs. You're like, I have no clue what that was. So it's spelled P.
I need breadcrumbs.
Is what the spelling of that is.
Yeah, I don't even know the first thing to think with that.
Okay, the only breadcrumb I'll give you is a holiday-centered episode, and our holiday that we're celebrating for the one and only time on the series is Thanksgiving.
That didn't help at all. I feel like I was just drawing a blank on everything. Yeah, I have no idea where to go with that. Is Joyce in the episode?
No, she's mentioned. I will.
Oh, I just assumed if it's Thanksgiving, we're going home.
Compared to what I just looked up on the overview of the episode of why it's entitled that, and then also like what the actual definition of pangs is, it's a sudden, brief, and sharp physical pain or an intense emotional spasm, such as remorse, guilt, or longing, like hunger pangs, like pangs of jealousy, pangs of childbirth, things like that. I did not know what the definition was, so I guess it's your final for the episode vocabulary lesson with Brandon. I was going to talk about it next episode, but so maybe our characters are feeling like some sort of way about something, or like remorse, remorse or guilt over something. And with the theme of Thanksgiving being wrapped up into that, maybe we're dealing with some stuff that's like passed on through like native tradition and upsettedness through other stuff. Also how our characters might be feeling about some type of things, because obviously got to relate it to them. So we're just going to leave that there, because I basically just kind of told you what was going on in the episode. So we'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks from now when they come back. We'll watch it too. Okay. Yeah. Well, we now have some more insight onto what's happening in old Sunnydale with the military people, and can now move forward into the unknown to watch it all unfold. Everyone, let us know what you think. Do you enjoy this one? How did you react to the reveal of Riley and Maggie Walsh being part of the initiative? Did you see it coming, or were you as surprised as we were? Especially Courtney. She's like, what the fuck is going on? Do you love what I'll loosely call the fight scene with Harmony and Xander? Do you absolutely 100% positively over the moon? I love the fact that Parker got decked in the face by Riley. What do you think about Spike becoming chipped and unable to harm humans? I need to know all the things. What do you think? We will be back next week, of course, with another episode of Angel before returning to Buffy. And then we get to move into some great episode of both shows pretty much from here on out. Not that they haven't been good already, but like I'm super excited to get this next little handful. So because they're truly great ones. But we'll catch you all back here next time for those.
Okay. Say that I help. You start a conversation. It goes great. You like Buffy. She likes you. You spend time together, feelings grow deeper, and one day, without even realizing it, you find you're in love. Time stops, and it feels like the whole world's made for you two, and you two alone. Until the day one of you leaves and rips the still beating heart from the other, who's now a broken, hollow mockery of the human condition.
Yep, that's the plan.
I figured it was.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale along with our Scoobies. We would love to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatch podcast, or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com.
And if you're interested in a world left behind, check out my show, Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast where I uncover the hidden mysteries of forgotten places, interview other explorers, and share with you my tips and tricks of the trade. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time,
the Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.